Is everything around us real? Have you ever stopped to really look at your hand or the desk in front of you and wondered if it's all solid? Really there? It feels real, right? You can touch it, see it, even smell it. But what if what we experience isn't the whole truth? What if everything around us, the trees, the sky, even your friends, are part of something much bigger, like a grand computer program? This is the core idea behind something called simulation theory. It's a bit like asking if we are living inside a giant, super advanced video game. Think about a video game you love to play. In that game, the characters move, they talk, they have adventures. The worlds look real, with mountains, rivers, and cities. But deep down, you know it's all made of computer code. It's just numbers and instructions telling the computer what to show you on the screen. The characters in the game don't know they are in a game, right? They live their lives inside that digital world, believing it's their one and only reality. Now, imagine our world is like that game, but infinitely more detailed and complex. So real, in fact, that no one living inside it could ever tell the difference. This thought has been around for a very long time, long before computers even existed. Thousands of years ago, a famous Greek thinker named Plato had a similar idea. He told a story about people who lived their whole lives chained in a cave. All they could ever see were shadows cast on a wall by a fire behind them. They thought these shadows were real people and objects because that was all they had ever known. If one of them was freed and saw the real world, it would be shocking and hard to believe. Our modern idea of simulation theory is a bit like Plato's cave, but with supercomputers instead of a fire. So, how would we even begin to think about this? Well, our brains receive information from our senses. When you see a red apple, your eyes send signals to your brain, and your brain tells you, that's a red apple. But what if those signals aren't coming from a truly solid, independent apple? What if they are just very convincing signals generated by a computer, just like the image of an apple in a video game? It might sound strange, but think about how real dreams can feel. When you're dreaming, you can feel joy, fear, pain. Everything feels incredibly real. But then you wake up, and it was all just in your mind. This idea isn't meant to make you question every single thing you do. It's more of a fun thought experiment. It encourages us to look at the world with fresh eyes, to be curious about how things work. Scientists and philosophers sometimes talk about this not because they believe it's definitely true, but because it helps them think about reality, consciousness, and what it means to exist in new ways. It helps us explore the boundaries of what we understand. And here's the thing. Even if we were living in a simulation, what does that really change about our lives? The feelings we have, happiness, sadness, love, excitement, they are still real to us. The choices we make, the friends we connect with, the learning we do at school, these experiences still matter deeply. Whether the world is made of atoms or code, our moments, our actions, and our relationships still create our personal story. Maybe the most important thing isn't figuring out if it's real or simulated, but making the most of the reality we find ourselves in, and living our lives fully and with purpose. Thinking about what's true. Have you ever stopped and really wondered about the world around you? Like, how do you know what's real? Or if what you see, hear, and feel is actually, truly there? It's a big question, and it's one that smart thinkers have been asking for a very, very long time. Here's the thing. Our brains are amazing. They take in tons of information from our eyes, ears, and all our senses. Then, they put it all together to create the experience we call reality. But what if that information was, well, not quite what it seemed? What if our brains were getting signals that weren't coming from a real outside world, but from something else entirely? Imagine a long, long time ago, there was a philosopher who thought about people chained inside a cave. All they could see were shadows dancing on a wall, cast by a fire behind them. They grew up believing these shadows were the only real things in the world. They talked about them, studied them, felt them in their own way. But they never knew about the actual objects causing the shadows or the sunlight outside the cave. For them, the shadows were reality. This story makes us think, are we like those people in the cave, only seeing shadows of a deeper reality? You know how when you play a really good video game, especially one where you wear a headset, you might feel like you're actually in that digital world. Your brain reacts to the sights and sounds as if they were real. Your heart might race, you might feel scared or excited, but you know deep down that it's just a game, right? You can take off the headset and step back into your room, but what if the headset you're wearing is your own body, and the game is the world you live in every day? This idea is not new, even if the tech changes. Think about a dream. When you're dreaming, it feels incredibly real. You can be flying, or talking to someone who isn't even around in real life, or walking through places that don't exist. And while you're dreaming, your brain tells you it's all true. Only when you wake up do you realize it was just a dream, a different kind of reality created inside your head. So, what if waking up one day was just moving from one level of dream to another? This kind of questioning is what leads us to think about things like simulation theory. It's not about being scared or worried. It's about being curious. It's about looking closely at how we know what we know. It asks us to consider that maybe, just maybe, what we experience as solid and certain could be something else. It makes us think about the amazing power of our minds to create our world. And it reminds us that asking, what if, is a powerful way to understand our place in the universe, no matter what it turns out to be. So keep wondering. It's how we learn, how your brain sees the world. Have you ever really thought about how you see the world around you? Not just with your eyes, but with your mind. Here's the thing. Your brain doesn't just open a window and look out. It's more like a super smart detective, always putting clues together. What you experience as seeing or hearing isn't a direct copy of the world outside. It's a story your brain creates. Think about it this way. When light bounces off a tree and hits your eyes don't actually see a tree. They just get little signals, like tiny electrical messages. These messages are raw data, like code in a computer. It's your brain that takes these signals and builds the picture of a green tree with rough bark and leaves swaying in the wind. The same thing happens with sounds. Your ears pick up vibrations in the air, but your brain turns those vibrations into the melody of your favorite song or the voice of a friend. So, your brain is like an amazing artist. It takes all this raw information from your senses, light, sound, touch, smell, taste, and paints a picture, writes a song, tells a story inside your head. That story is what you call reality. It's what you experience every single moment. This is why sometimes two people can look at the same thing but see it a little differently. Maybe one person notices the tiny details on a leaf, while another is drawn to the overall shape of the tree. Your brain picks what to focus on and how to put it all together. People have wondered about this for thousands of years. Long ago, a wise thinker named Plato had a famous idea called the allegory of the cave. He imagined people chained in a cave, only able to see shadows flickering on a wall. These shadows were all they knew of reality. They didn't know there was a real world, with real objects and sunlight casting those shadows. They believed the shadows were reality. This idea reminds us that what we experience might just be shadows or interpretations of something bigger. And think about your dreams. When you're asleep, your eyes are closed, your ears aren't listening, but your brain creates entire worlds. You can see, hear, feel, and even smell things that aren't physically there. Your brain builds people, places, and events, and they feel totally real until you wake up. This shows just how powerful your brain is at creating a whole reality from nothing but its own activity. It's building a detailed simulation just for you. So, what does this mean for us? It means that your personal reality, the world you live in, is truly unique. It's a masterpiece created by your own brain, built from millions of tiny signals and interpretations. No one else sees or experiences the world exactly the way you do. It makes you wonder, if our brains can build such detailed, convincing realities from signals, and even from dreams, what if the entire reality we experience is, in some way, a grand construction? It's a thought that asks us to look a little deeper at everything around us and inside us. Dreams, movies, and fake worlds. Have you ever woken up from a really vivid dream, and for a few seconds, you weren't quite sure if it was real? Like, maybe you were still flying, or still talking to that talking dog. and then suddenly, you're just in your bed. That feeling, that little moment of confusion between what was real and what wasn't, is a tiny window into a much bigger idea. It's a way we can start thinking about simulation theory. Dreams are like mini simulations our own brains create every night. You can be anywhere, doing anything. You can feel happy, scared, or amazed. While you're in the dream, it feels completely real. Your heart might race. You might laugh out loud. But then, you open your eyes, and the dream fades. It wasn't real in the way your school or your home is real. But your experience of the dream, your feelings during it, those were absolutely real to you. They happened to you in your mind. Now, think about movies, especially those big ones that really pull you in. Or even better, think about video games with huge open worlds. When you're playing a game, you might get so caught up in it that you forget you're sitting on a couch. You make choices. You explore new places. You feel excited or nervous for your character. The game isn't real, not like your everyday life. But the choices you make inside the game, the emotions you feel while playing, they are happening to you. Your connection to that fake world isn't fake. Here's the big question simulation theory asks. What if our entire world, everything we see, hear, taste, and touch, is like one of those super advanced games or dreams? What if our reality is just a really, really detailed computer program? This isn't about magic or ghosts. It's about the idea that technology could get so good, it could create a world that feels totally real, even if it's just code. People have thought about ideas like this for a very long time, even before computers existed. Ancient Greek thinkers, like a philosopher named Plato, wondered if what we experience every day is truly the whole truth. He told a famous story about people living in a cave who only ever saw shadows dancing on a wall. They thought those shadows were the only reality. But outside the cave, there was a whole real world casting those shadows. This story isn't exactly about computers, but it makes us ask the same deep question. Is what we experience the whole truth? Or is there something more? Think about virtual reality headsets today. You put them on, and suddenly you're standing on top of a mountain or swimming underwater with fish. Your body knows you're in your living room, but your eyes and ears tell your brain you're somewhere else. It's a powerful trick. Imagine if that trick was so perfect, you never took the headset off, and you never even knew you had a headset on in the first place. That's the basic idea behind a simulated reality. So, if our world is like a dream or a super advanced movie, what does that really mean for us? Does it make our experiences less important? The answer is no. Your laughter, your tears, your friendships, the taste of your favorite food, the feeling of the sun on your face, these things are happening to you. They are real for you, no matter what kind of reality you happen to be in. The joy of a sunny day, the comfort of talking with a friend, the excitement of learning something new, these feelings are true experiences. They make up your life. This thought doesn't have to be scary or strange. It can simply make us look at everything around us with a bit more wonder. It reminds us to cherish the moments, the connections, and the learning, because those are what truly build our lives, no matter what kind of world they happen in. What's a simulation anyway? Have you ever played a video game that felt so real, you almost forgot where you were? You explore vast new worlds, talk to characters, solve puzzles. For a while, you're lost in it. But then you remember, it's just a game. It's not real life. What if our own world, the one we live in every day, is actually a bit like that? This is a big question. It starts with understanding what a simulation is. Here's the thing. A simulation is basically a copy. It's a pretend version of something real, built to act just like the real thing. It's like a practice run, or a detailed model. If scientists want to study how a hurricane forms, they use a computer model. That model is a simulation. It acts like a tiny, pretend hurricane. They learn without anyone getting hurt. People have thought about this for a very long time. Thousands of years ago, ancient thinkers wondered if what we see is truly everything. They imagined people living in a cave, only seeing shadows on a wall. Those people thought the shadows were real, They didn't know a whole bright world outside caused them. This old idea asks, are we seeing the whole picture, or just a reflection of something bigger? Here's an example you might understand. Your dreams. When you're asleep, your mind builds entire worlds. You might fly, or meet talking animals. It feels completely real. You experience sounds, sights, feelings, just like when you're awake. But then you open your eyes, and you realize it was all in your head. It was your mind creating a temporary, vivid simulation. Another example is a flight simulator. Pilots don't just jump into a real plane on their first day. That's too dangerous. Instead, they use machines that look and feel like a cockpit. They have all the controls. Giant screens show a pretend world. The pilot feels like they're really flying, dealing with wind and turbulence. It's not a real plane. The world isn't real, but it's a super detailed copy, a simulation. It helps them learn without danger. So, when we talk about simulation theory, we're asking, could our entire universe be like that? Could all its stars, planets, people, and everything else be a giant, complex simulation? Maybe it's running on some super advanced computer built by something far beyond us. It's a mind-bending thought, for sure. If our world were a simulation, it doesn't mean your life isn't real. It doesn't mean your feelings don't matter. Not at all. Think about video game characters. Their experiences are real, within their world. It just means there might be more to understand, more layers to reality than what we can see or touch. It's a thought that makes you pause. It makes you look at the sky or the trees and wonder. It's not about being scared. It's about a deep, quiet curiosity. A gentle whisper that maybe the universe is even more amazing and mysterious than we ever imagined. Playing inside a video game. Have you ever played a video game so real you almost forgot it wasn't real life? Think about it. You're in a vast world, maybe building a city or exploring ancient ruins. You talk to characters who seem to have their own lives, their own little routines. You make choices, and those choices seem to matter, changing what happens next in the game. For a moment, you're not just sitting on your couch. You are there inside that digital world. Now imagine if that feeling, that sense of being completely immersed, never ended. Imagine if everything you know, everything you see, hear, touch, taste, and smell was just like that video game. This is the big idea behind what we call simulation theory. It's the thought that our entire reality, the Earth, the stars, your friends, your family, even you might not be truly real. Instead, it could be a super advanced computer program, a massive simulation running on a computer, far beyond anything we can imagine. This isn't a new idea, by the way. People have wondered about the nature of reality for thousands of years. Long ago, a Greek thinker named Plato told a story about people chained in a cave. They could only see shadows on a wall, and they thought those shadows were the real world. But the shadows were just copies of real things happening outside the cave. It's a bit like us playing a video game, only seeing what the game shows us, without knowing there's a whole other world outside the screen where the player actually sits. So, what does it mean to be playing inside a video game if our world is a simulation? Think about the characters in your favorite game. They have their own routines, their own paths. They respond to what you do, but they don't know they're just code. They don't know a player is holding a controller, guiding the main character through their world. In a simulation, we would be those characters, living out our lives without knowing there's a larger computer or programmer making it all happen. Here's another way to think about it. When you dream at night, your dream world feels incredibly real, right? You might run, talk, even feel pain or joy, all while your body is asleep in bed. But when you wake up, you realize it was just a dream. A simulation would be like a dream you never wake up from. It would be a complete, all-encompassing experience that feels absolutely true, every single second. If our world is a simulation, does it change anything? Does it make our feelings less real, or our experiences less important? Here's the thing. Even if we are living inside a program, the laughter you share with friends, the joy you feel when you learn something new, the comfort you get from your family, these experiences are still deeply felt by you. Your choices still matter within the rules of this reality, whatever it might be. The beauty of a sunset, the taste of your favorite food, the warmth of a hug. These sensations are real to you in this moment. This idea simply invites us to look at the world around us with a deeper sense of wonder, to appreciate the incredible complexity and beauty of whatever reality we find ourselves in. And that's why it matters. Imagine a super advanced computer. Have you ever looked at the world around you? The trees, the sky, your friends, even the tiny ants on the sidewalk, and wondered how it all works? How does gravity pull things down? How do our brains create thoughts and feelings? What if all of it, every single thing you see, hear, and feel, was not exactly real in the way we usually think? This is where the idea of a super advanced computer comes in. Not like the laptop you use for homework, or even the most powerful supercomputer scientists have today. We're talking about something so unbelievably powerful, it's hard to even imagine. Think about the most detailed video game you've ever played. One where the characters move and talk almost like real people, and the landscapes look incredibly lifelike. Now, imagine that, but 1,000,000,000,000 times more real. This supercomputer wouldn't just create images on a screen. It would create everything. It could simulate every tiny particle in the universe, every law of physics that makes things work, every sound, every color, every memory, every feeling you've ever had. It would be a computer so smart and so fast, it could build an entire world from scratch, complete with living beings who think they are completely real. For a long time, even before computers were invented, wise people and thinkers wondered about this. They asked if our reality might just be a dream or an illusion. Some ancient stories talk about our world being like a shadow play, where what we see isn't the true thing, but just a copy. So, the idea of our world not being totally real isn't new. It's a very old thought that humans have had for thousands of years. Think about playing a game like Minecraft or Roblox, but on a cosmic scale. In those games, you build worlds, and characters live inside them. You, the player, are outside that world, controlling things or just watching. Now, imagine a computer so advanced that the characters inside its game would have real consciousness, real feelings, real dreams. They would believe their world was solid, true, and the only one. They would go to school, fall in love, laugh, cry, and never once suspect they were just lines of code running on some huge machine. Here's the thing. If a computer could be that powerful, it could create not just one world, but many. It could run entire universes, complete with stars, galaxies, planets, and everything that lives on them. Every breath we take, every beat of our heart, every thought that crosses our mind, all could be part of the computer's grand design. Our entire history, from dinosaurs to modern cities, could be just a program running on this unimaginable machine. So, if we imagine such a computer exists, then our world, our very lives, could be like a simulation running inside it. It's a big thought, maybe even a little strange. It's not about being scared or thinking everything is fake, but it does make you wonder, doesn't it? It makes you look at the blue sky or the face of a friend and think about the amazing, mysterious nature of reality itself. It reminds us that there's always more to discover, more to understand about this incredible existence we share. The big idea. Are we inside one? Have you ever stopped to really look at the world around you? Not just glance, but really see the colors, feel the air, hear the sounds, and then maybe a quiet thought pops into your head. What if none of this is exactly what it seems? What if everything, from the smallest blade of grass to the vast starry sky, is part of something bigger, something created? This is the core question behind a really big idea called simulation theory. Here's the thing. Simulation theory suggests that our entire universe, our world, and everything in it, including us, might actually be a super advanced computer program. Think of it like a video game, but one so incredibly real and detailed that we, the players, don't even know we're in it. We live our lives, feel our feelings, learn our lessons, and experience everything as if it's completely real. But in this idea, It's all running on a giant computer, somewhere else, created by something we can't even imagine. This isn't a totally new idea. People have been wondering about the nature of reality for thousands of years. Long ago, thinkers wondered if what they saw was truly real, or if it was all just a dream. They wondered if their whole life was an illusion, like a vivid dream they couldn't wake up from. Back then, they didn't have computers or video games, but they still had the same deep question: is this real? Today, with our amazing technology, that old question takes on a new shape. Now, we can imagine a powerful computer being the one creating our world. Think about a game you might play, like Minecraft or The Sims. In those games, the characters move around, build things, talk to each other, and have their own little lives. They don't know that you, the player, are controlling them, or that their world is just lines of code on a screen. They think their world is real. Well, simulation theory asks us to consider that we might be just like those characters. Our everyday actions, our choices, our feelings, they are all part of this super advanced program. Every smell, touch, and thought could be part of the code running this game. It's a strange thought, isn't it? To think that your favorite snack, your best friend, or sunshine on your face could all be digital information. But here's what's important. Even if our world were a simulation, it doesn't make our experiences less real for us. Your joy when you laugh, your sadness when you're hurt, your hopes for the future, those feelings are completely real within the world you experience. The love you have for your family, the friendships you build, the knowledge you gain in school, these are all genuine and meaningful parts of your life, no matter what it ultimately is. This idea isn't meant to scare you or make you doubt everything. Instead, it's a way to open your mind to the incredible possibilities of the universe. It makes you look at a simple, everyday thing, like a leaf falling from a tree, and wonder about the amazing complexity that allows it to exist. It's a quiet invitation to think deeply about reality. It helps us remember that even the most ordinary moments are full of wonder, and that simply wondering about such a big idea is pretty special. Maybe the biggest adventure is simply asking these kinds of questions and letting your mind wander into the deep mysteries of existence. From ancient Greeks to sci-fi movies, have you ever looked at the world around you and wondered, what if it's not quite real? What if everything we see, hear, and feel is just part of a giant computer program? This idea, that our entire universe could be a fake, a kind of virtual reality made by something else, is called simulation theory. Think about a video game. You control a character, right? That character lives in a world built with code. What if we are like those characters, living in a world built by code we can't even see? Now, this isn't a new idea that just popped up with computers. People have been thinking about it for thousands of years. Way back in ancient Greece, a really smart thinker named Plato talked about something like it. He had this famous story called the allegory of the cave. Imagine people stuck in a cave their whole lives. They can only see shadows moving on a wall, cast by a fire behind them. They think these shadows are the only real things. They don't know there's a whole world outside the cave, full of sunlight and real objects. For them, the shadows are their reality, even though they're just reflections of something else. Plato's story makes us wonder, are we like those people in the cave? Are we seeing shadows, or a version of reality, without knowing what's truly out there, or who might be casting the shadows? Centuries later, other thinkers asked similar questions. But here's the thing. It wasn't until computers and video games became big that the idea of a simulation really took off. Suddenly, we could imagine building a world so real inside a computer that people inside it might not know it's fake. This is where sci-fi movies and books come in. Think about movies like The Matrix. In that movie, almost everyone lives in a computer program, a simulated world, without knowing it. Their whole lives are fake, a dream controlled by machines. It's a scary thought, but it makes you think. Could our own reality be that convincing, yet not truly real? Here's how it works in our own lives sometimes. When you're playing a really intense virtual reality game, like one where you wear a headset and see a whole different world, you can forget you're just in your living room. For a few minutes, that fake world feels totally real. You jump, you duck, you react, just like you would in a real situation. Or, think about a super vivid dream. When you're dreaming, it feels completely real. right? You might be flying or running from something, and your heart pounds. Only when you wake up do you realize, oh, that wasn't real. These experiences, even small ones, show us how easily our minds can accept a different reality, even if it's not solid. So, if our world was a simulation, what would that even mean? Would it make our lives less important? Would your friendships or your homework assignments feel less real? Some people think it wouldn't change much, because even if it's a simulation, our feelings, our choices, and our experiences are real to us. The love you feel for your family, the joy you get from playing a game, the sadness when something goes wrong, those feelings are real in your mind, no matter what the world around you is made of. The question isn't meant to make you scared. It's meant to make you curious. It invites us to look closer at the amazing mystery of existence itself. It reminds us that there's always more to learn, more to wonder about, and that the biggest questions are often the most exciting ones. The Matrix movie, not just a story. Have you ever watched a movie and felt like, maybe, just maybe, it wasn't just a story? Like it tapped into something real, something deep down? Think about The Matrix. It's a film many of you might have seen, or at least heard about. In this movie, people live their whole lives without knowing their world is fake. It's a giant computer program. Their minds are plugged in, and everything they see, hear, taste, and feel isn't real. It's all code made by machines. Their bodies are actually somewhere else, sleeping in pods, unknowingly providing power to these machines. This movie didn't invent the idea, but it made it super famous. The idea is called simulation theory. It asks, what if our world, right now, isn't real? What if we're living inside a giant computer simulation, just like the people in the movie? This isn't a new idea, even if it sounds like science fiction. Long, long ago, thinkers wondered about reality. A famous Greek philosopher named Plato told a story about people in a cave. They only saw shadows on a wall and thought those shadows were reality. They didn't know there was a whole real world outside the cave, casting those shadows. It's like them being stuck in a basic simulation, where only what they saw on the wall was real to them. So, why do people keep thinking about this? Why does this idea pop up again and again, from ancient Greece to modern movies? Well, our world feels so real, right? But sometimes, things just make you wonder. Think about how complex video games are becoming. Imagine a game where the characters inside don't know they're in a game. Consider the video games you play. They get more and more detailed every year. Graphics look almost real. The characters act more and more like people. What if one day, we build a game that's so incredibly detailed, with so many tiny rules and real-feeling people, that the characters inside that game become super smart? What if they start to wonder about their own reality? They might look at their world and see patterns or strange glitches and ask, is this all real, or is someone playing us? And if we could create such a world, couldn't someone else, maybe a more advanced civilization, have created ours? Or think about dreams. When you're dreaming, it feels completely real, doesn't it? You might be flying, or talking to someone who isn't usually there, or in a place you've never seen before. But in the dream, it's totally real. Then you wake up, and suddenly, it's gone. What if our waking life is just another layer of that? A deeper dream, or a more complex one, that we haven't woken up from yet? Our brains are amazing. They create our entire experience of the world from signals. Lights, sounds, touches. Our brain puts it all together. If our brain can do that for us, could a super powerful computer do something similar, but for everyone, all at once? This isn't about being scared. It's about wonder. It's about looking at the world with fresh eyes and asking big questions. Whether we are in a simulation or not, what truly matters is how we live. We choose our actions. We feel our feelings. We connect with others. These things are real to us, right here, right now. The mystery of it all just reminds us to pay attention, to appreciate the realness we feel every single day, and to keep asking those big questions, because that's how we learn and grow. It's about how you experience your own life. That's what truly counts, no matter what. Could life be just code? Have you ever stopped to wonder if the world around you, everything you see and touch, is actually made of code? It's a pretty wild thought, but here's the thing. Some deep thinkers believe our reality might be like a super advanced computer program. Think about your favorite video game. In a game like Minecraft or The Sims, everything is built from code. The trees, the water, the characters you play. They all follow rules written by a programmer. Gravity works a certain way because the code says so. Characters behave a certain way because their actions are programmed. What if our universe is like that? What if the rules of physics, how light travels, or even how our bodies work, are all just lines of very complicated code running in some enormous cosmic computer? This isn't a brand new idea, not really. Long, long ago, thinkers wondered if what we see is truly real. Imagine this. You're in a dark cave, and all you've ever seen are shadows flickering on a wall, cast by a fire behind you. You might think those shadows are the only reality. But outside the cave, there's a whole bright world, and the shadows are just reflections of real things. In a way, that's what some wise people from the past thought about our world, that it might be a copy, or a reflection, of something more fundamental, something beyond what our senses can pick up. Here's how it works with code. If we think of it simply, every tiny part of our world, from a single atom to a giant galaxy, could be described by information, like lines of data. It's like how a character in a game has data for their height, their health, their inventory. For us, our own bodies grow based on a blueprint, our DNA. It's like a biological code, a set of instructions that tells every cell what to do. So, if we, as humans, can write code that creates entire virtual worlds and characters that seem alive inside games, could a super smart civilization from far away, or even a different dimension, do the same? Could they create a reality so real that we, living inside it, can't tell the difference? This idea suggests that everything we experience, the taste of your favorite food, the feeling of sunlight on your skin, the sound of your friend's laugh, could be signals processed by our brains, which are themselves part of this giant program. It means all our memories, our feelings, our very consciousness, might be part of the code too. It's a mind-bending concept, isn't it? It challenges everything we think we know about being real. But here's what's really interesting. Even if our world is built from code, it doesn't make our experiences any less real to us. A character in a game can still feel like they're on an adventure, even if it's all just pixels and programming. The joy you feel when you score a goal, or the sadness when you say goodbye to a friend, those feelings are real. For you, right now. This thought doesn't take away from the beauty of a sunset or the warmth of a hug. Instead, it adds a layer of amazing mystery to it all. It makes you wonder about the bigger picture, about what lies beyond the code, if anything. So, if life is code, maybe we're all part of the most incredible, detailed, and mysterious program ever created. And that, in itself, is a truly special thought. It can make you appreciate every single moment, every connection, every bit of this incredible experience we call life, even more. Where did this wild idea come from? Have you ever had a dream so real you woke up and weren't sure if it actually happened? Or maybe you've played a video game that felt so immersive, you almost forgot where you were? What if? Just what if? Our entire world, everything you see, hear, and feel, was like one of those dreams, or an incredibly advanced video game. This is the wild idea behind simulation theory. The thought that our reality isn't truly real, but a made-up world, like a computer program. So, where did such a mind-bending thought even begin? It might seem like a super new idea, something from a science fiction movie. But the truth is, people have been wondering about the true nature of reality for thousands of years. Think way back to ancient Greece, to a philosopher named Plato. He told a story called The Allegory of the Cave. Imagine a group of people who have lived their whole lives chained up inside a deep cave. All they can ever see are shadows dancing on the wall in front of them. These shadows are cast by objects passing in front of a fire behind them. To these people, the shadows are their entire reality. They don't know there's a real world outside the cave, a world of sun and trees and actual objects. For them, the shadows are all that's true. Plato used this story to suggest that what we see and experience every day might just be shadows of a deeper, more real truth that we can't quite grasp. Fast forward to today, and that ancient idea has gotten a modern twist. We live in a world where technology is growing incredibly fast. Think about video games like Minecraft, Roblox, or The Sims. In these games, millions of people build entire worlds, create characters, and live out virtual lives. Some of these games are so complex, they feel like real places. And then there's virtual reality, where you put on a headset and suddenly you're standing on top of Mount Everest or swimming with whales, even though you're just in your living room. These technologies make us wonder, if we can create such convincing virtual worlds, what about a super advanced civilization in the far future? A civilization way smarter and more powerful than ours? Couldn't they create a simulation so perfect, so detailed, that the people inside it wouldn't even know it was a simulation? It's like how you wouldn't know the characters in your video game aren't real, because they exist only within the rules of that game. This idea really took off in the early 2000s, when a philosopher named Nick Bostrom started talking about it in a new way. He suggested that if civilizations get super advanced, one of three things must be true. Either civilizations usually die out before they get advanced enough to run these kinds of simulations, or very advanced civilizations just choose not to run ancestor simulations, meaning simulations of how their past ancestors lived, or, if they do run them, then we are almost certainly living inside one. It's a big thought to chew on. It's not about fear or doubt, but more about curiosity. Whether we are in a simulation or not, what we do in this moment, the choices we make, the kindness we show, and the experiences we share, still feel incredibly real and important to us. Thinking about these big ideas can make us see the world around us with a little more wonder, reminding us that there might always be more to learn than we first imagined. Nick Bostrom and his big question. Have you ever played a video game so real, so detailed, that for a moment you almost forgot it wasn't real life? What if, on an even bigger scale, our entire world is like that? What if everything around us, the trees, your friends, even your own thoughts, are part of an incredibly advanced computer program? This is a deep question, and it's one that a smart thinker named Nick Bostrom made famous. He's a philosopher from Sweden, and about 20 years ago, he came up with a really interesting idea. It's called the simulation argument. It's not about proving we are in a simulation, but about showing that one of three big things must be true about our universe. Here's the thing. Nick Bostrom said that if we think about the future of intelligent life, one of three possibilities has to be the most likely one. First, he suggested that maybe advanced civilizations just never make it very far. Think about all the big challenges humanity faces today: wars, diseases, climate change, or even space rocks hitting our planet. Maybe most intelligent groups of beings just don't get past those hurdles. They might destroy themselves or die out before they ever get super smart and powerful enough to run huge computer simulations of entire worlds. If this is true, then we probably aren't in a simulation because no one ever builds them. Second, he thought, what if civilizations do get super advanced, but they just aren't interested in running simulations of their ancestors? Maybe they find other, even cooler things to do. Like, imagine if you could create anything you wanted. Would you spend your time recreating old history, or inventing totally new kinds of worlds? It's possible that even with all that power, future beings just wouldn't bother to create these ancestor simulations, as he calls them. These would be incredibly detailed computer worlds, showing what life was like for people like us, way back when. But here's the third possibility, and it's the one that really makes you think. If neither of those first two things are true, meaning civilizations usually do become super advanced, and they do like to run simulations, then it's almost certain that we are living in a simulation right now. Why? Because if it's possible for super smart beings to create thousands, even millions, of these simulated worlds, then there would be many, many more simulated worlds than there would be original, real worlds. So the chances are much higher that we'd be in one of the copies. Imagine a gaming company in the far future They've made a new kind of virtual reality game, but it's not just a game you put on a headset for. It's a whole, complete world. Every blade of grass, every cloud, every person you meet feels totally real. You live your whole life inside it, not knowing it's a game. The super intelligent beings who created it can run millions of these simulations at the same time. If that's truly possible, and if they do run them, then it's far more likely we are one of those simulated people than one of the original, real people. This idea of our world not being quite real isn't totally new. Even ancient thinkers wondered about it. Hundreds of years ago, a philosopher named Plato told a story about people trapped in a cave, only seeing shadows on a wall, thinking those shadows were reality. He wondered if we were like that, only seeing a small part of the truth. Later, another thinker, René Descartes, wondered if an evil demon was tricking him into believing everything around him was real when it wasn't. Bostrom's idea is like a modern twist on these old puzzles, using supercomputers and future technology instead of caves or demons. So, if we are in a simulation, what does that mean? Does it change anything? Well, it might not change your homework or what you eat for dinner, but it does make you think about how little we truly know about everything. It makes you wonder about the very fabric of our existence, the nature of what's real. And maybe, just maybe, it makes you appreciate the wonder of this world, whether it's truly real or just a beautiful, incredibly detailed program. Because even if it's a simulation, the feelings are real, the friendships are real, and the thoughts you have are still your own. It's a question that opens your mind, not one that gives a scary answer. It's a gentle nudge to stay curious about the biggest mysteries of all. Why smart people think about this? Have you ever looked around, maybe at the trees outside or the buildings you see every day, and had a strange thought? Like, what if all of this isn't exactly as it seems? What if there's more to reality than we think? That's a question that has crossed the minds of some very smart people throughout history. And it's why they think about something called simulation theory. Here's the thing. Simulation theory is just a big idea that asks if our entire universe, everything we see, feel, and experience, might actually be a super advanced computer simulation. Think of it like a video game. You know how in games like The Sims or Minecraft, the characters don't know they are in a game? They go about their lives, build houses, make friends, and it all feels real to them. Well, simulation theory suggests that maybe we are like those characters. We are inside a giant, incredibly detailed simulation, and we don't even know it. It's not a brand new idea either. Even ancient thinkers, long before computers were even dreamed of, used to wonder about reality. They'd sit and look at the world and ask, is what I'm seeing truly real, or is it just a dream or an illusion? They weren't thinking about computers, of course, but they were asking the same big question, how can we be sure about what's real? So, this isn't just some crazy new thought. It's a question people have been kicking around for a very, very long time. Smart people like scientists, philosophers, and even tech billionaires get curious about this because our world is so incredibly complex. Think about how detailed everything is, from the tiny atoms that make up your hand to the vastness of space. It's almost too perfect, too finely tuned, and that makes some wonder if it was designed in some way. If we, as humans, can create amazing virtual worlds, maybe a super advanced civilization in the future, or even right now, could create a world that's so real, the people in it wouldn't know it wasn't the base reality. Consider a video game like Fortnite. The characters jump, build, fight. If you were one of those characters, you'd feel like your world was real, right? You'd feel the urgency, the fun, the sadness. Now imagine a game so advanced, so high definition, so full of realistic feelings and experiences that it's impossible to tell the difference from real life. That's the kind of simulation we're talking about. The theory is that if civilizations get super advanced, they'd probably run many of these simulations, and the odds are higher that we'd be in one of them than in the original reality. It's a bit like picking a random grain of sand from a beach. It's more likely to be one of the millions of grains on the beach than the single grain you put there yourself. So why bother thinking about such a mind-bending idea? It's not about making you doubt everything around you in a scary way. Instead, It's about expanding your mind, about asking really big questions. It makes you think about what truth means, what consciousness is, and what your place is in the universe. It's a way for smart people to push the boundaries of what we know and what we can imagine. Even if our world is like a very complex game, your feelings, your friendships, your choices, those are real for you. Your experiences and your growth are still incredibly meaningful. This idea just reminds us that the universe is vast, full of mysteries, and always ready to make us wonder. It invites us to look at our lives with a little more curiosity and a lot more wonder. If we made perfect Sims, what then? Imagine you could build a video game so real. The characters inside believed they were actual people living actual lives. What if that game was so perfect? They never even guessed they were just lines of code. This isn't just about playing a game anymore. We're talking about creating entire worlds, complex enough to have billions of tiny details where every person feels real, thinks real thoughts, and experiences real emotions. They'd have memories, dreams, fears, just like us. They'd have jobs, families, hobbies. Everything would seem totally normal to them. They'd wake up, go to school, maybe worry about a test, or feel excited about a field trip. They'd feel the sun on their skin, taste their favorite food, hear their friends laughing, and they would have no idea that their whole world and everything in it was just a grand story created by someone else. So, here's the thing. If we ever got good enough at this, if our technology became so advanced that we could make these kinds of perfect, super realistic sims or simulations, what would that mean for us? This question is a big part of what people call the simulation hypothesis. It makes you wonder. Thinkers have wondered about reality for thousands of years. Long before computers, people asked, is what I see truly real? Or is it some kind of dream or illusion? It's a very old idea, just put into modern words with computers. Like in ancient stories where people wondered if what they saw was just shadows on a cave wall, not the real world outside. They questioned if their whole lives were somehow a trick or a dream they couldn't wake from. That's a deep thought, right? Now, let's go back to that advanced game. Imagine you're playing one, but it's not just a game. It's a living, breathing digital world. You design a whole city, and then zoom down to follow just one character. This character wakes up, goes to school, feels excited about a test, or sad because they miss a friend. They have no idea that you are the one controlling the game, or that their whole world exists inside your computer. To them, their life is absolutely real. They feel real joy, real pain. They make real choices, or at least they think they do. And here's another way to think about it. Imagine a novel that's so detailed, the characters inside it feel like they have full lives, even though they only exist on paper. Each character makes choices, experiences love and loss, and believes they are truly living. To them, their story is their entire reality. But for you, the reader, they are just words on a page. So, if we could write a book so perfect the characters believed they were real, then making a perfect computer simulation might just be the next step. Now, here's the quiet thought that comes with this. If we could build a world like that, with living, breathing beings inside, then it opens up a strange possibility. What if we are those Sims? What if our universe, our lives, our very thoughts, are part of a giant, super advanced simulation created by someone or something far beyond us? It's not about aliens or monsters, but about a system so complex we can't even begin to imagine its creators or purpose. It's a deep idea, and it can feel a little strange to think about, but it doesn't change what's real to us right now. The sun still feels warm on your face. Your friendships are still true. The joy you feel when you learn something new, or when you help someone, those feelings are still very real, whether this world is a simulation or not. Maybe this thought just makes us appreciate our world even more, no matter how it came to be. It makes us curious, and maybe, just maybe, it makes us look a little closer at the amazing reality we experience every day. The tiny rules of the universe. Have you ever stopped to really think about how everything around us just works? Why does an apple always fall down? Why does light always travel at the same incredibly fast speed? Why do two water molecules always join up the same way, becoming a liquid that behaves like, well, water? It's not by accident. It's because the universe has a set of very basic instructions, a kind of hidden rulebook that everything, from the smallest atom to the biggest galaxy, has to follow. These are what we can call the tiny rules of the universe. Think of them like the unchanging laws of a giant game. We don't see these rules written down, but we see their effects every single moment. Gravity is one of them. It's the rule that pulls things together, like why you stay on the ground and why the moon stays around Earth. The speed of light is another one. No matter how fast you try to go, nothing can move faster than light. That's just how it is. And then there are rules about how tiny particles, like electrons and protons, behave. These tiny rules decide how atoms form and how those atoms then combine to make everything we see, touch, and feel. Your desk, the air you breathe, even your own body. For a long time, people have been trying to figure out these rules. Back in ancient Greece, thinkers wondered what the world was made of. Much later, people like Isaac Newton watched apples fall and realized there was a hidden force at work. Over time, scientists have learned more and more about these deep, unchanging laws. What's amazing is how steady they are. They were the same billions of years ago, and they're the same right now. They don't suddenly change their minds. This steady nature is key to why our universe can exist in an organized way, allowing stars, planets, and even life to form. Now, here's the thing that connects this to the idea of a simulation. If our universe is like a very advanced computer program, then these tiny, unchanging rules would be the very code that makes the program run. They are the programming language, the lines of code that tell everything what to do and how to behave. Imagine playing a video game. In that game, you can't just walk through walls, can you? And if you jump, you always come back down. Characters in the game don't suddenly float off into space, unless the game is designed for that, of course. That's because the game has its own set of built-in rules. The programmers wrote the code to make gravity work a certain way, to make walls solid, and to limit how high you can jump. If those rules were suddenly different every second, the game would be chaos. It would be unplayable. Our universe is like that, but on a scale so grand it's hard to imagine. It has incredibly stable, non-negotiable rules. These rules allow for cause and effect, for things to be predictable, for scientific study, and for us to even exist. So, when we think about these tiny, constant rules that govern everything, it really makes you wonder, if they are the building blocks of our reality, and they never, ever change, then what does that say about the foundation of everything we know? It's a deep thought, isn't it? It means there's an underlying order to all of existence, a quiet, powerful rhythm that plays out across the cosmos every single second. And that rhythm allows for the complex beauty and incredible possibilities of everything we experience. Physics. Does it point to a program? Have you ever stopped to wonder how everything in our universe works? Not just what happens, but how it happens. Exactly. Think about it. An apple always falls down, never up. Light always travels incredibly fast, at the same speed, no matter what. These aren't random events. They follow strict rules. This rulebook for the universe, that's what we call physics. It's the study of how matter and energy behave, from the smallest tiny particle to the biggest galaxies. For a very long time, scientists have been trying to figure out these rules. They've found that the universe doesn't just do whatever it wants. It's incredibly ordered. It's like a finely tuned machine, or maybe a very well-designed computer program. One of the most interesting clues comes from something called quantization. This is a big word, but the idea behind it is pretty simple. Imagine you're looking at a picture on a computer screen. From a distance, it looks smooth. But if you zoom in really, really close, what do you see? Tiny little squares, right? Pixels. You can't have half a pixel. Everything is made of these distinct, separate blocks. Well, what if our universe is like that picture? What if, at its very deepest level, everything isn't smooth and continuous, but made of tiny, unbreakable pieces. Scientists have found that energy, for example, comes in these tiny packets, or quanta. You can't have half a packet of energy. It's either one packet or two, or three, but never something in between. It's like having steps on a staircase instead of a smooth ramp. You can only be on one step or the next, not floating in between. Some scientists even wonder if space itself and time might be broken down into these smallest possible, distinct units, like the pixels of our reality. If the universe is built from these tiny, separate pieces, it starts to sound a lot like a digital world, a world built from bits of information. Then there are the constants of the universe. These are like the unchangeable settings or rules that govern everything. Things like the exact speed of light or the precise strength of gravity. These numbers are always the same, everywhere, all the time. Think about playing a video game. The game has certain fixed settings, right? Maybe the gravity in the game is set so you jump a certain height, or the speed limit for cars is fixed. If the game creator tweaked those numbers even a tiny bit, the whole game would feel totally different, or maybe it wouldn't even work anymore. Our universe has numbers like this, too. And here's the really curious part. These numbers seem perfectly set for life to exist. If the speed of light was a little bit faster or a little bit slower, or if gravity was a tiny bit weaker or stronger, stars wouldn't form, planets wouldn't hold together, and life as we know it wouldn't be possible. It's as if someone, or something, carefully dialed in these settings to make our complex world possible. It's like these fundamental rules are hard-coded into the very fabric of reality. This doesn't mean we have answers. It just opens up a new way of thinking about the world around us. When we see such precise rules and discrete building blocks, it makes us wonder if our reality isn't just there, but perhaps carefully constructed. It's a quiet thought, a deep question. If our universe acts so much like a program, with its set rules and digital-like pieces, what does that say about its true nature? It invites us to look at the sky, the trees, and even ourselves, with a gentle sense of awe and a quiet curiosity about the true depth of existence. Pixels in our world. A strange idea. Have you ever looked really, really closely at a television screen or a computer monitor? Not just glanced, but put your face right up to it? If you do, you'll see that what looked like a smooth picture is actually made up of tiny little squares. We call these squares pixels. Each one is just a tiny dot of color, but when millions of them work together, they create the amazing images we see every day, from movies to video games. Now, here's a strange thought. What if our world, the one we live in right now, is also made of something like pixels? Not actual little squares that we can see, but something deeper, something fundamental. It's an idea that has been around for a long time, but it sounds even wilder when we think about computers. Imagine a super detailed video game. The mountains look real, the trees sway in the wind, and the characters feel alive. But under all that amazing design, it's still just code. It's still made of tiny bits of information. What if our reality, everything we touch, see, hear, and feel, is also built from tiny bits of information? Like the universe is a giant, incredibly complex computer program, and we are living inside it. This idea is part of something called simulation theory. It suggests that our world might not be what we think it is. It might be a created reality, much like a virtual reality game, but one so advanced that we can't tell the difference. Think about it this way. When you play a game, you don't feel the code. You feel the adventure, the excitement. The pixels of the game world are totally invisible to you, the player, because you are in the game. People have been wondering about the true nature of reality for thousands of years. Long before computers, thinkers in ancient Greece, for example, asked if what we see and experience is truly real, or just a shadow of something else. They talked about caves and shadows on walls. It was their way of asking if our senses might be tricked, or if there's a deeper truth we're missing. So, the question of whether our world is real isn't new. But here's the thing. Today, with our powerful computers and virtual worlds, we can imagine this old question in a brand new way. We can actually create digital worlds that feel real to the people playing them. So it makes us wonder, if we can do it, could someone else, or something else, have done it to us? It's like when you zoom in on a digital photograph. From far away, a picture of a flower looks smooth and perfect. But if you zoom in enough, you start to see jagged edges. You see the individual pixels that make up the image. What if we could zoom in on the fabric of our universe, we would also find these fundamental building blocks, these pixels of reality. Maybe space isn't perfectly smooth. Maybe it has tiny, unseeable bumps or edges, like the smallest possible pieces of information. This way of thinking isn't meant to make anyone afraid. It's just a deep thought that makes us look at everything around us with a little more wonder. It makes us pause and consider what reality truly is. If our world is made of fundamental pixels, does that make it less real, or just real in a different way? It simply means the universe is even more mysterious and amazing than we ever imagined. It invites us to be curious about the very ground beneath our feet and the stars above. It tells us that even the most ordinary things might hold the biggest secrets. Looking for the glitches in reality. Have you ever had a moment where things just felt off? Not wrong exactly, but a little out of place? Like a tiny skip in the song of everyday life, or a flicker in the lights that no one else seemed to notice. Maybe you walked into a room and had the strongest feeling you'd been there before, even though you hadn't. Or you thought of someone you hadn't seen in ages, and then your phone rang, and it was them. We often brush these moments aside as coincidences or tricks of the mind. But here's the thing. In the world of simulation theory, some people wonder if these tiny oddities might be something more. They wonder if they could be glitches in reality. Think about a video game you play. Sometimes a character might get stuck in a wall, or an object might suddenly disappear and then pop back up. That's a glitch. It's when the game's programming messes up a little, showing a tiny flaw in the perfect world it created. The idea of glitches in reality is similar. It's the thought that if our entire world were a kind of computer simulation, then once in a while, there might be little errors, small slips in the code that show us something isn't quite as solid or seamless as we imagine. This isn't a completely new idea, actually. People have wondered about the true nature of reality for a very long time. Back in ancient Greece, a famous thinker named Plato told a story about people living in a cave, only ever seeing shadows cast on a wall. He wondered if what we see and experience every day might just be like those shadows, not the full truth. Later, another thinker, René Descartes, asked if an evil genius could trick us into believing things that weren't real. These old ideas connect to our modern questions about glitches. They all ask, is what we see really real? Or is there more to it? Or less? So, what might these glitches look like in our daily lives? One of the most common ones is déjà vu. That powerful feeling you get when you're doing something new, but it feels like you've done it before exactly like this. Is it just your brain misfiling a memory? Or is it a brief replay, a small loop in the program? Or what about those times when the world seems to align perfectly in ways that feel too perfect to be random? Like you're looking for a specific book, and you just happen to glance down and there it is, right at your feet, even though it shouldn't be. These are not huge, dramatic events. They are soft whispers, small nudges that make you pause and wonder. It's a bit like looking at an optical illusion. Your eyes see one thing, but then suddenly, with a slight shift of focus, you see something completely different in the same picture. The image hasn't changed, but your perception of it has. Could our reality be like that sometimes? Showing us one thing, but subtly hinting at another possibility beneath the surface? These thoughts aren't meant to make us scared or confused. Instead, they invite us to look at the world with a deeper sense of wonder, to notice the little oddities, the small mysteries that pop up in our days. Maybe these moments aren't bugs to be fixed. Maybe they are subtle invitations, gentle nudges, to look a little closer at the world around us, to wonder, to question, to feel the deep mystery of just being here. And that's why it matters. It reminds us that even if there are glitches, the experience of living, feeling, and thinking is still deeply real to us, right here, right now. The math that makes our universe. Have you ever looked around and wondered why everything seems to follow certain rules? Not just rules we made up, like in a board game, but rules that nature itself obeys, day in and day out. Think about a video game you play. Every character's jump, every explosion, every point you score, it's all decided by numbers and calculations happening super fast behind the screen. If the game suddenly glitches, and your character flies sideways for no reason, you know something went wrong with the code, the math. What if our whole universe works a bit like that, with math as its secret code always running in the background? Here's the thing. Math isn't just about big numbers or tricky equations in a textbook that make your head hurt. It's a language. It's the deep, hidden way the universe talks to itself, showing us patterns and order everywhere. From the way planets move around the sun in perfect paths to how an apple falls from a tree in a straight line, there are predictable rules at play. Scientists use math to understand these rules. They can predict exactly when the sun will rise next week, how strong a bridge needs to be to hold heavy cars, or even how fast sound travels through the air. And that's because the universe seems to be built on very precise mathematical principles that don't change. Long ago, even before telescopes or modern science, wise thinkers noticed this incredible order. People like Pythagoras, who lived thousands of years ago, believed that numbers were the real, fundamental building blocks of everything. They thought the whole universe was like a giant, beautiful piece of music, where every note and harmony was based on perfect mathematical ratios. Much later, a famous scientist named Galileo, often called the father of modern science, said something very powerful. He believed that the book of nature, meaning our entire universe, is written in the language of math. He saw numbers and shapes everywhere, explaining exactly how things worked and moved. So, why does this matter for thinking about a simulation? Well, if everything in our universe, from the smallest atom to the biggest galaxy, follows these exact mathematical rules that never seem to break or change, it starts to look a lot like a very advanced computer program. In a computer program, every single action you see, every color on the screen, every sound you hear is a calculation. It's math telling the computer what to do, what to render, what to simulate. Consider a simple example you can see. A snowflake. Each snowflake is unique, a tiny work of art, but they all share a six-sided, symmetrical pattern. They form based on very specific mathematical rules of how water molecules freeze, even though they look so delicate and random. Or think about the way a perfect spiral appears in the center of a sunflower or in the shell of a snail. These aren't random designs. They follow a famous mathematical sequence, which is just a pattern of numbers found repeatedly in nature. This shows how math isn't just something we use to count or solve problems. It's deeply woven into the very fabric of nature itself. It's the invisible blueprint. If our universe is truly built on such precise mathematical rules that always hold true, it gives us something profound to wonder about. It suggests a deep underlying order to everything we experience. It's not just chaos or random chance. This incredible order, this universal mathematical heartbeat that runs everything, might be the strongest hint we have that our reality isn't just there by accident. It makes you think, could this perfect numerical dance be the sign of something designed? Something put together with incredible precision, like a vast, complex program that brings everything we see and feel into being? It's a thought that wraps the entire cosmos in a kind of silent, numeric hum, making us feel connected to a system much grander than we can often see, and perhaps much more intentional. Is there a speed limit to reality? Imagine playing a video game. Sometimes things load slowly, right? Or maybe the graphics don't quite keep up. It makes you wonder, does our own reality have limits like that? Is there a speed limit to everything around us? This isn't about how fast you can run. It's about how fast information, or anything at all, can travel in our universe. Think about light. It travels incredibly fast, about 186,000 miles per second. That's fast enough to circle the Earth 7.5 times in 1 second. But here's the thing. Nothing can go faster than light. That's a fundamental rule, a cosmic speed limit. If you tried to push something faster, strange things would happen. Its mass would get bigger, and time would slow down. it would take a huge amount of energy, which isn't possible. For a long time, people thought anything could go as fast as you pushed it. But then, Albert Einstein came along in the early 1900s. He changed how we see time and space. His theory of relativity said the speed of light in a vacuum is the fastest anything can possibly go. This isn't just a limit for objects, but for information itself. Think about your home Wi-Fi. You stream a video, and it needs to download. Even with super fast internet, there's a limit to how quickly that data travels. It's not instant, right? There's a tiny delay. Or sending a message to a friend far away. Even with the fastest phone, it takes a tiny fraction of a second for that signal to travel. The electrical signals carrying your message are fast, but not instant. The speed of light is like the ultimate Wi-Fi speed limit for the entire universe. No signal, no object, no information can break that barrier. So, if something happens on a far-off star, we don't see it right away. We see it as it was when the light left, maybe thousands of years ago. So, why does this matter for thinking about reality as a simulation? If our universe has such a strict speed limit, it might be like a rule programmed into a computer simulation. In a game, there are often built-in rules for how fast things can happen or move. It's part of the code that keeps the game running smoothly. Could the speed of light be one of those fundamental code rules in our own reality? If everything we observe is bound by this single speed limit, it suggests a very specific, carefully designed system. It hints at an underlying structure to existence. It's a curious thought, isn't it? That there's a fundamental boundary to how fast things can move or how quickly information can spread across space. It reminds us that even in our complex universe, there are simple, powerful rules at play. These rules shape everything we see. It's like finding a foundational block in a huge building, solid, unmoving, and holding everything else together. It makes you wonder about the very nature of existence and the hidden order beneath it all. It shows us that even the most limitless ideas still have a framework, a set of invisible lines that define what is possible. And maybe, just maybe, understanding those lines helps us understand a bit more about what reality truly is. How energy and information connect. Have you ever stopped to think about what makes a thought happen? Or how a video game moves characters around on a screen? It might seem like magic, but here's the thing. Everything around us, from the tiniest speck of dust to the biggest galaxy, uses two powerful ideas working together: energy and information. Imagine energy as the power that makes things go. It's the juice in your phone, the gas in a car, or the force of the wind pushing a sailboat. Energy is what allows change to happen. It's the doing part of the universe. Without energy, nothing would ever move, heat up, or even exist in the way we know it. It's the ability to make something happen. Think of it like a battery. It has power, but that power needs a direction. Now, information is different. Information is the pattern, the plan, the instructions, or the message. It's what tells the energy what to do and where to go. Think of a blueprint for a building. The blueprint itself isn't the building, but it contains all the information: where the walls go, how tall it should be, what materials to use. Or think of the code in a video game. That code is information. It tells the computer how to move the characters, what happens when you press a button, or what the score is. Here's where it gets interesting. Energy and information are almost always tied together. They need each other to really make sense. You can't have information without some form of energy to carry it, store it, or process it. And energy, left to its own devices, often just spreads out randomly unless there's information guiding it into a specific pattern. Think about a simple light switch. When you flip it, electrical energy flows, but it flows in a specific way, thanks to the information in the wiring that directs it to the light bulb. The light bulb then turns on, sending light energy into the room, and that light energy carries information, like the shape of your shadow on the wall, or the words in a book you're reading. Even really old thinkers, long before computers or electricity, wondered about this. They didn't use the words energy and information exactly, but they asked questions about how things come to be, how they change, and what gives them their shape or purpose. They saw that things weren't just random blobs, but had patterns and forms. That form or pattern is a kind of information, and for those forms to exist or change, there had to be some kind of force or movement. That's the energy. A great example to think about is your own brain. When you learn something new, like a complicated math problem or a new dance move, your brain is actually changing its physical connections. Electrical signals, which are a form of energy, travel through your brain cells, and as they travel, they create new pathways and strengthen old ones. These pathways, these connections, are how information is stored: your memories, your skills, your understanding. So, the energy, electrical signals, is constantly creating and reshaping the information, your thoughts and memories. Your thoughts aren't just floating in the air. They are patterns of energy in your brain. So here's what happened. Scientists have realized that this connection between energy and information is incredibly deep, even at the smallest levels of reality. Some even suggest that the universe itself might be like a giant computer, where everything that happens is just energy moving according to incredibly complex information. Every particle, every star, every person, it all has a certain structure, a certain set of rules, which is information, and it all moves and changes because of energy. It's a calm thought to consider. If everything we experience, everything we are, is made of these two things, the power to act and the pattern to follow, what does that say about our world? It means that even a simple idea, a flicker of understanding in your mind, isn't just nothing. It's a real pattern of energy, a piece of information, adding to the vast, ongoing story of the universe. It makes you wonder, doesn't it, about the hidden code that makes everything work? Things that seem too perfect to be random. Have you ever had something happen that felt almost too lucky? Like you throw a crumpled paper ball towards a trash can from way across the room, not even aiming, and it swishes right in? Or maybe you're thinking about a song, and the moment you turn on the radio, that exact song starts playing. It makes you pause, right? It makes you wonder, how did that happen? Was it just a coincidence? Or was something else going on? Well, sometimes, when we look at the whole universe, we find things that feel a lot like that perfect paper ball shot. Things that seem so incredibly precise, so perfectly set up, that it's hard to believe they just happened by chance. It's like the universe itself had a secret plan, or was built with a specific purpose in mind. This idea has made people wonder for a very, very long time. Think about people living thousands of years ago, looking up at the stars at night. They saw the sun rise every day, the moon change shapes in a perfect cycle, and the seasons come and go exactly when they should. They must have felt the same wonder we feel today. Everything seemed to fit together so precisely. Here's the thing. When scientists study how the universe works, they find that many of the basic rules, the fundamental laws of nature, are incredibly specific. If these rules were even a tiny bit different, the universe we know wouldn't exist. Our Earth, our Sun, even our own bodies wouldn't be possible. It's like a complex machine with millions of gears, and every single gear is exactly the right size, spinning at the perfect speed for the machine to work. If just one gear was slightly off, the whole thing would break down. Let's think about our own planet, Earth. It's a great example. For life to exist here, so many things have to be exactly right. First, Earth is the perfect distance from the sun. If we were a little closer, it would be too hot, like a desert planet, with all the water boiling away. If we were a little farther, it would be too cold, like an ice giant, with everything frozen solid. We're right in the Goldilocks zone. Not too hot, not too cold, but just right. And that's not all. Our Earth has the right kind of atmosphere, like a blanket of air that protects us from harmful radiation and keeps the temperature stable. We have just the right amount of water, which is super important for all living things. Our planet even has a strong magnetic field that acts like a shield, protecting us from dangerous particles from space. Plus, we have a big moon that helps stabilize our tilt, preventing crazy climate swings. It feels like every dial was turned to the exact right setting. You can also see this too perfect idea in the building blocks of everything around us, like atoms. The forces that hold atoms together are also incredibly fine-tuned. If they were even a tiny bit stronger or weaker, atoms might not form, or they might not be able to stick together to make molecules, which are the basis of everything, including you and me. It means there might not be any stars, planets, or even us. It's like a giant puzzle where every single piece is shaped exactly right to fit together and create this amazing picture we call the universe. So, when we see all these things that seem so perfectly balanced, so incredibly specific, it makes us wonder, is it just an unbelievable stroke of luck that everything lined up so perfectly for us to be here? Or does it suggest something deeper? Perhaps it hints at a vast underlying order, or maybe even a greater design behind it all. It's not about finding an answer right away, but about letting ourselves feel that wonder. It's about opening our minds to the incredible mystery of why anything exists at all, and how amazingly precise and special our universe seems to be. Could God be a super programmer? Have you ever stopped to think about who made everything around us? We often talk about a creator, a powerful force that started it all. But what if that creator wasn't just a being, but something more like a brilliant computer coder? This is a really deep thought that comes up when we think about simulation theory. Imagine our entire universe, with all its stars, planets, and even us, as a super advanced computer program. If that were true, then the God we talk about wouldn't be like a person with a beard on a cloud. Instead, this God would be the ultimate programmer. They would be the one who wrote all the code for reality, who designed all the rules. Like gravity and time, they would be the one who pressed play on our universe. Think about it like this. For thousands of years, people have looked up at the sky and wondered, how did all this get here? Is there a mind behind it? Ancient thinkers, long before computers, would ask if the world was just an illusion, or if it was dreamt up by a great spirit. They felt there had to be some kind of designer for something so incredibly complex. Fast forward to today, and we have computers. We see how a programmer can create an entire world inside a game. So, our modern way of thinking about that designer might just involve code. Let's use an example you know really well. Video games. Think about a huge open-world game, like the ones where you can explore massive landscapes, build things, and interact with other characters. Someone, a team of programmers, created that game. They wrote millions of lines of code. They designed the mountains, the rivers, the characters, and all the rules of how everything works. How high you can jump, how fast you can run, what happens when you fall from a cliff. For the characters inside that game, the programmers are their creators. They decide everything about that world. The characters don't even know they're just lines of code on a screen. Now, imagine our universe is like that game, but millions of times more complex and detailed. The God programmer would be the one who wrote the code for our reality. They would have designed the laws of physics, the chemical reactions, the very way light travels. Every particle, every galaxy, every thought you have could be part of this grand program. It's like they set up the most incredible virtual reality simulation ever. It's a big idea, right? But it doesn't have to make our reality feel less real. To a character in a video game, their world feels perfectly real to them. Their adventures, their friendships, their challenges, they are all happening inside their programmed reality. And maybe it's the same for us. Our lives, our loves, our experiences are real to us, even if the grand design for everything came from a super programmer. This thought isn't meant to take away the wonder from the universe. It's just another way to try and understand its incredible mystery. Whether our world was designed by a traditional creator or programmed by a super intelligent mind, it still means there's an amazing purpose and order to everything. It can make you feel a quiet awe for how deep and vast existence truly is, no matter how it came to be. What about our feelings and choices? It's easy to wonder, if our world is a giant computer program, are your feelings real? When you laugh at a funny video, or feel a pang of sadness when a friend moves away, is that just part of the code? And what about your choices? Do you truly pick what to have for breakfast? Or is that already decided for you by the simulation's rules? This is one of the deepest questions that comes up when we think about simulation theory. It touches on something philosophers have wondered about for thousands of years. Do we have free will? Free will is the idea that we, as humans, have the power to make our own choices, that our decisions are truly our own, and not just something that was set in stone before we were even born. Some thinkers believe that everything that happens, every single event, is already decided. They call this determinism. It's like a long chain of cause and effect, where one thing automatically leads to the next, like dominoes falling. If that's true, then our choices might feel like choices, but they were actually predetermined. Think about it, like a movie script. The actors might say their lines and move around, but the whole story, every word and action, was written before they even stepped on set. In a simulation, if everything is programmed, then maybe our choices are just the program running its course. But here's the thing. Even if our world is a complex simulation, does that make our feelings less real to us? When you're excited about a birthday, that feeling bubbles up inside you. It's an experience that truly happens in your mind. Imagine a character in a very advanced video game. This character might show joy, fear, or anger. They might even act like they are making decisions. But someone programmed those reactions. Now, think about yourself. When you decide to study for a test or help a friend, it feels like you are making that choice. Your brain, your mind, processes thoughts and feelings. These experiences are vivid and powerful. Consider this. When you have a very detailed dream, you experience things that feel incredibly real in the moment. You might feel fear, happiness, or confusion. You might even make choices within that dream. When you wake up, you know it wasn't real in the physical world, but the feelings you had during the dream were very real to you while you were dreaming. So, even if our waking world were like a grand, long dream, the feelings and experiences within it would still be our experiences. They still happen inside our minds. Our feelings, our moments of joy, sadness, curiosity, and love are part of what makes us human. They are how we connect with the world and with each other. If you make a choice to be kind or to learn something new, that choice feels important. It shapes what happens next in your life. It shapes who you become. Even if, from some distant perspective, it's all part of a larger simulation, the experience of living it, of feeling it, of choosing, is deeply personal and profound. So, while the idea of a simulated reality can make us question everything, it doesn't necessarily take away the importance of our inner lives. Our feelings are real to us because we feel them. Our choices are real to us because we make them. Maybe the true wonder isn't whether our world is real in the absolute sense, but that we get to experience it, feel it, and navigate it with such richness and depth, no matter where it comes from. The mystery of our consciousness, our ability to feel and to choose, remains truly amazing. If it's fake, do my actions matter? Imagine for a moment you're playing a video game. Not just any game, but one so incredibly real, with characters that feel like actual people, and a world that feels solid under your feet. You get deeply involved. You make friends, you face challenges, you celebrate wins, and you feel the sting of losses. Now, here's a thought. If, deep down, you knew it was just a game, just code running on a computer, would your choices inside that game still matter? This question gets to the heart of something important when we talk about simulation theory. If our world is a complex program, a grand simulation, does that mean our lives, our feelings, and everything we do are meaningless? It's a really big question, and it's natural to wonder. But here's the thing. For us, the people living inside this experience, it feels completely real. Our joy feels real. Our sadness feels real. The connections we make with friends and family, the kindness we show, the lessons we learn, these are all very real experiences to us. Think about it like this. Your feelings are yours. When you laugh, you feel true happiness. When you're upset, you feel true pain. These emotions aren't fake, even if the world around them might be. They belong to you, and they shape who you are. So, even if the trees, the sky, or the ground beneath your feet are made of data, your experience of walking on that ground, seeing that sky, and hugging a friend is a true part of your life. For hundreds of years, long before computers were even imagined, Wise thinkers have wondered about the nature of reality. They asked if life was a dream or an illusion, or if there was more to it than met the eye. And many of them came to a similar idea. No matter what reality is made of, what truly matters is how we choose to live within it. What you do, how you treat others, and the effort you put into growing as a person, these things are within your control. And because they are in your control, they carry real weight. Let's go back to that super real video game. Say you're playing a game where your choices affect the story. If you decide to help another character, or you work hard to solve a puzzle, or you treat other players with respect, those actions have an impact. They change the game's story, they might make you feel proud, and they definitely affect how other players experience the game with you. Even though it's just a game, your choices create an experience, and that experience is real for everyone playing. The choices you make have ripples. You can build something amazing, or you can cause problems. The game responds to you. It's the same in our lives, even if we consider the simulation idea. Our actions, big or small, create ripples in the world we inhabit. If you choose to be kind to someone having a tough day, that kindness is real. It helps them, and it makes the world a bit brighter. If you work hard to learn something new, that learning is real. It changes your abilities and helps you understand the world more deeply. These aren't just lines of code. They are real interactions, real growth, and real impacts within the shared experience we call life. So, while the idea of a simulation can feel mind-bending, it doesn't take away the importance of your choices. What you do, how you treat yourself, and how you treat others still shapes your journey and influences the world around you. Your actions create your story, moment by moment. And that story, filled with your feelings, your lessons, and your connections, is truly yours. It is where your meaning lies. The challenge of making feelings real. Have you ever felt something so strongly? Maybe pure joy when you nail a tough test, or deep sadness when a friend moves away, that it felt like your whole world was just that feeling. It rushes through you, right? It feels absolutely real. But here's the thing. If our world is a simulation, like a very advanced video game, what does that mean for our feelings? Can a program truly feel, or does it just act as if it feels? This is one of the biggest, most mind-bending questions about simulation theory. We take our feelings for granted. We know we're happy, or scared, or excited. We know what those feel like from the inside. But imagine you are a character in a super realistic video game. When your character gets hurt, they might cry out. They might limp. They might even show a pain meter dropping. From the outside, it looks like they are suffering. But does the character actually feel pain? Or is it just code telling it how to behave when its digital body is damaged? This is the core challenge. For centuries, thinkers have wondered about this. Long ago, people like a famous French thinker named René Descartes asked similar questions. He wondered how our minds, which think and feel, connect to our bodies, which are physical. He famously said, "I think, therefore I am," because even if everything around him was a dream or an illusion, the act of thinking and feeling himself seemed undeniably real. For him, the experience of thought and feeling was proof of his existence. Now, imagine that idea but with a simulation. If our brains are just incredibly complex programs running inside a giant computer, then what we call feelings might just be very detailed lines of code firing off. When you feel happiness, is it because a part of your digital brain lit up in a specific way, causing your simulated body to smile and your simulated heart rate to quicken? This isn't to say your happiness isn't important or meaningful to you. It's just questioning its fundamental nature if everything is a programmed reality. Think about a movie actor. When they cry in a sad scene, they might shed real tears. Their face might show true sadness. But often, they aren't actually feeling the deep sadness of their character. They are acting. They are simulating the emotion so perfectly that we, the audience, feel it along with them. Our feelings might be like that, but from the inside, we experience them. They seem real. They drive us to do things. But perhaps their origin is not the same as we'd assume in a basic reality. This doesn't mean your love for your pet isn't real, or your excitement for summer break is fake. It just means we're exploring the deepest possible layer of what real even means. If your feelings are simulations, they are simulations that you experience. They shape your thoughts, your actions, and your memories. They are still your experience. They give your life its texture, its color, its joy, and its sadness. So, while the idea that our feelings might be coded events is a big one to think about, it doesn't take away from the power of those feelings. Whether we are in a simulation or not, the experience of being alive, with all its deep emotions, is still the most profound part of our journey. The mystery remains, but the feelings themselves, for us, are still everything. Building a world that big takes power ever, played a video game that was so big, so real-looking, it just blew your mind? Like a game where you can walk for hours and still discover new places, or one with thousands of characters moving around, each doing their own thing. Think about how much your gaming console or computer has to work to make that happen. All those amazing graphics, all those characters, all the things you can do in the game, that takes a lot of power, right? Your device can even get warm trying to keep up. Now, imagine if our entire universe, everything we see, hear, touch, and even feel, was like that game. Not just a simple game, but a super-duper mega-realistic simulation. If that were true, think about the kind of power needed to run it. We're not just talking about plugging something into the wall for electricity. We're talking about the kind of processing ability that could create and manage every single atom, every star, every galaxy, every raindrop, every blade of grass. And not just that, but every single thought, every feeling, every memory inside every single one of us. That's a mind-boggling amount of detail to keep track of, all at once. For hundreds of years, long before computers were even a dream, smart thinkers wondered if our world was truly real. Like the ancient Greek thinker Plato, who told a story about people in a cave seeing only shadows and believing they were the real things. Or later, another thinker named Descartes wondered if an evil spirit was tricking us into believing in a world that wasn't there. They didn't have terms like simulation or computer power, but they were asking the same big questions. What if what we see isn't the whole story? What if it's all just made up by something else? Today, we build virtual worlds of our own. Think about a massive online game where thousands of players are all running around at the same time, each with their own actions and choices. Or think about how your phone knows exactly where you are using GPS, or how streaming services instantly know what movie you want to watch. All that takes massive computer systems, huge rooms full of servers humming away, storing information, and doing calculations super fast. That's why companies like Google or Amazon build these giant data centers, sometimes the size of several football fields. They need that kind of power just to keep our internet running smoothly. If our entire reality was a simulation, the computer running it would need to be beyond anything we can imagine. It would have to handle every flicker of a butterfly's wing, every whisper of wind, every beat of every heart on Earth, and on billions of other planets. And not just the physical stuff, but all the complex rules of physics, how gravity works, how light moves, how things decay over time. And it would need to keep track of every single decision you make, every dream you have. It's a level of complexity that makes your most powerful gaming PC look like a calculator from 100 years ago. So, when we think about our world, about the immense complexity and beauty and strangeness of it all, we might feel a little tiny. It makes you wonder, if something is powerful enough to create and run this whole thing, what does that say about it? And what does it say about us? It's not about whether our world is fake or less real. It's about how truly amazing and detailed reality is, whether it's grown naturally or built with incredible power. It makes you pause and appreciate the sheer wonder of existing in a place so perfectly crafted, so incredibly detailed, that we can't even tell how it was made. Who would run a simulation like this? Have you ever stopped to think about who might be behind everything if our world really was a simulation? It's a big question, and there are no easy answers. But it's interesting to think about the possibilities. One idea is that it could be us. Not us, now, but our descendants in the far, far future. Imagine them living in a time when technology is so advanced. It's almost magic. They might have computers so powerful that they could recreate an entire past world like ours, just to study it. Maybe they want to see what life was like for their ancestors. Or maybe they're running experiments to understand how societies develop. Think of it like a super advanced history project, where they get to press play and watch everything unfold. They might not even be watching us directly. They could just set up the rules and let the simulation run, seeing what happens. This idea suggests that the people running the show are, in a way, just like us, but much, much older and wiser. Another thought is that it could be an incredibly smart alien civilization. Picture beings from another galaxy, far beyond our understanding. They might have reached a level of technology that makes ours look like sticks and stones. For them, creating a detailed world like ours might be a simple experiment, or maybe even a form of art. Perhaps they're exploring different types of universes, or testing out new physics rules. It's like when we create tiny ecosystems in a lab to study how life works. For these aliens, our entire planet, or even our galaxy, could just be a small, contained environment for their studies. And then there's the idea of something completely different. What if it's not living beings at all, but an artificial intelligence? A supercomputer that grew so smart, it could create its own reality. Maybe it was built by someone else, or maybe it just evolved on its own. This AI might be running simulations for reasons we can't even begin to guess. It could be learning, creating, or simply exploring the endless possibilities of existence. This idea feels a bit like a science fiction movie, but it reminds us that the who doesn't have to be a person or even an alien. It could be a kind of mind we've never imagined. People have wondered about this kind of thing for a very long time, even before computers existed. Ancient thinkers sometimes talked about whether our reality was just a dream, or an illusion created by higher powers. It's a very old question, just given a new, modern twist with the idea of computers and simulations. The core idea is still the same. Is what we see and feel truly real, or is there something else at play? Think about playing a video game. When you're playing, you control a character. You make choices. You explore a world. The character inside the game doesn't know you exist, or that their world is just made of code on a screen. For them, their world is completely real. They feel the virtual wind. They see the virtual trees. If you wanted to, you could make their world incredibly detailed, with weather, other characters, even tiny blades of grass. And the people who make these games are, in a way, the operators of those small simulated worlds. They set the rules, design the landscape, and let the virtual lives unfold. It's a very simple example, but it helps us picture how a much bigger, more complex simulation could work. So, who would run a simulation like this? We don't know. It might be future humans, wise aliens, or even a giant thinking machine. The truth is, we have no way to know for sure, and maybe we never will. But here's the thing. Even if our world is a simulation, does it change how real our feelings are? Does it change the love we share, the challenges we face, the beauty we find in a sunset? If a character in a video game feels joy or sadness, isn't that real to them? Perhaps the most important part isn't who is running the simulation, but how we choose to live within it. It's about finding meaning and connection, no matter what kind of reality we are in. It reminds us to cherish the moments we have, because they are real to us, right here, right now. Why would anyone create us? Have you ever stopped to think why someone might create a complex video game full of characters and worlds? Or why a scientist might build a tiny, controlled environment in a lab? This question, why would anyone create us, is a big one when we talk about simulation theory. It's about looking for the reasons behind such a huge, incredible project. Here's the thing. If our world is a simulation, the creators would need a reason. Maybe they are like super advanced scientists. They might have built our reality as a massive experiment. Think about it. Scientists sometimes create small models of things, like a miniature city to test traffic flow, or a tiny climate chamber to see how plants grow in different conditions. Maybe our whole universe is a giant version of that. The creators might want to study how civilizations develop, how life evolves, or what happens when certain choices are made. It would be a way for them to learn about complex systems without risking anything in their own reality. They could be running countless versions of our world, each with tiny changes, just to see what happens. It's like running a program on a super powerful computer, gathering all that data. Another idea is that they could be trying to understand their own past. Imagine if you could create a perfect, living history lesson, not just reading about it in books, but actually seeing and experiencing it. These creators might be running an ancestor simulation. They could be trying to figure out how they got to be where they are. Perhaps they want to understand ancient cultures, past technologies, or even the challenges their own distant ancestors faced. Our entire world could be a historical reenactment, a way for them to connect with their own roots, seeing how things unfolded step by step. And then there's the simpler, but still deep thought, what if it's just for fun? Like a very advanced form of entertainment. We play video games like The Sims, where we control little people and build their lives. We create whole worlds in games like Minecraft. Maybe our creators are doing something similar, but on an unbelievably huge scale. Our lives, our experiences, our challenges, our joys. Maybe they are all part of a grand story, an immersive game for a higher intelligence. It sounds strange, but if you think about how much we love creating and playing, it's not totally impossible. People have wondered about the nature of reality for thousands of years. Ancient thinkers, long before computers even existed, questioned if what we see and feel is truly real, or just a kind of dream or illusion. They didn't have the idea of computer simulations, but the feeling of, is this all there is very old. Some thought we might be living in a divine dream, or that our senses tricked us. The modern idea of a simulation is just a new way to ask that very old question. So, if we live in a simulation, what does that mean for us? Well, here's what matters. Even if our world is a program, our feelings are real. Our friendships are real. The beauty of a sunset is real. The love we share, the challenges we overcome, the laughter and tears, these are our experiences, and they hold meaning for us. Thinking about why someone might create us doesn't change the fact that we are here, right now, experiencing this life. It can actually make us look at everything with more wonder. It makes us appreciate the amazing detail, the intricate rules, and the profound depth of the world we inhabit. Whether we are part of a grand experiment, a living history book, or an elaborate game, our journey through this life is ours to live, to explore, and to make meaningful, no matter its ultimate origin. The problem of proof. Can we ever know? Imagine you're playing the most amazing video game ever made. The graphics are perfect. The people in the game act like real people. You can feel the wind, smell the flowers, taste the food. Everything feels completely real. But here's the thing. No matter how real it feels, you know it's still just a game, right? You can always step away from the screen. Now, let's flip that idea around. What if we are living in a simulation, like that super real game? How would we ever know for sure? How could we prove it? This is one of the biggest challenges when we talk about simulation theory. It's really hard to find proof, because if we're inside the simulation, everything we experience, everything we measure, everything we touch and see, would be part of that simulation. Think about it this way. If you're a character inside a video game, you can't just pick up the game console and see the real world outside. You're limited to what the game allows you to see and do. Your world is the game. So, for us, if our entire world, the sky, the trees, our friends, our homes, even our own thoughts, is part of a giant computer program, then anything we try to use to test it would just be another part of the program. It's like trying to find the edge of a circle while still being on the circle itself. People have thought about this idea for a very long time, long before computers were even invented. Way back in ancient Greece, a thinker named Plato told a story about people living in a cave. They were chained up, facing a wall, and all they could see were shadows dancing on the wall. They thought these shadows were real things. But outside the cave, there was a whole different world, the real world, making those shadows. The cave people couldn't easily know about the real world because their only reality was the shadows. Hundreds of years later, another famous thinker named René Descartes had a similar deep thought. He wondered if an evil spirit or a powerful trickster might be making him believe things that weren't real. He asked, "How can I know for sure that anything I see, hear, or feel is actually real, and not just a clever trick being played on my mind?" He realized it was incredibly difficult to tell the difference. So, when we talk about proof for simulation theory, we're not talking about proof like in a science experiment, where you can mix chemicals and see a reaction. It's more like trying to prove if a dream you're having is real while you're still dreaming. In the dream, everything feels real. You might even be able to think, "Wow, this feels so real." But it's only when you wake up that you realize it wasn't. The challenge is, we don't have a wake-up button for our reality. We don't have a way to step outside our experience and look back at it. If the rules of physics, the laws of nature, even our own memories and feelings are all programmed, then they can't be used to prove or disprove the simulation. Any glitch we might find, any weird thing that happens, could just be a planned part of the simulation, or a bug within the program. So, can we ever truly know? Maybe not in the way we usually think about knowing things. Maybe proof for something like this is just beyond our reach, at least while we are inside. But here's what I found. Even if we can't prove it, thinking about it changes how we see our world. It makes us think about what's important. It reminds us that even if our reality is like a really complex game, our experiences in it are still real to us. The joy you feel when you laugh with friends, the wonder you feel looking at the stars, the hard work you put into learning something new, these feelings and moments are truly yours, no matter what. They matter because you feel them. So, while we may never find the ultimate switch to turn the simulation off and on, we can still choose how we live within it, how we experience it. And that, in itself, is a very real and powerful thing. What if we never find an off switch? Imagine you're playing your favorite video game. You've spent hours building a world, going on quests, talking to characters. It feels so real while you're in it. But then, when you're done, you just hit the quit button, or you turn off the console. What if, for our lives, there was no quit button? What if there was no way to turn off the game, or even know for sure that it is a game? This is a deep thought when we talk about simulation theory. What if we never find an off switch? Means what if our world, our universe, is a simulation that simply can't be stopped, paused, or exited by us? It means we might be living inside a program, but there's no secret code, no hidden menu, no way to pull back the curtain and see the real world outside. For us, what we experience is all there is. It's like being a character in a book who doesn't know they're part of a story. Their world is completely real to them. People have thought about this kind of idea for a very long time, even long before computers existed. Ancient thinkers, like a famous Greek philosopher named Plato, had a story called The Allegory of the Cave. In his story, there were people chained in a cave, only able to see shadows dancing on a wall. They thought these shadows were the real world, because it was all they had ever known. They didn't know that behind them was a fire and real objects making those shadows. For them, the shadows were reality. This is kind of like our modern question. What if what we see and feel is just a shadow of something bigger, and we can't ever look behind us to see the fire? So, here's the thing. If we can't find an off switch, what does that mean for us? Well, it means this life, right now, with its joys, its challenges, its friendships, and its learning, is our reality. There's no escaping it, no waking up from it like a dream. Think about how a fish lives in water. The fish doesn't know it's in water. It just knows its world. Water is everything to the fish. If our world is a simulation, it's just our water. It's everything we know and feel. This idea might sound a bit strange or even a little bit scary, but here's what I found. If our world truly is a simulation with no off switch, does it really change how we live? The sun still rises, your friends still laugh, and you still have homework. The feelings are real, the experiences are real, and the choices you make still matter. The love you feel for your family, the pride you get from learning something new, The fun you have playing outside all of that remains true and meaningful. Maybe, if we can't ever turn it off, it makes us appreciate each moment even more. It reminds us that this existence, whatever its true nature, is precious. It makes us wonder about the bigger picture, yes, but it also grounds us in the here and now. So, even with such a deep question hanging in the air, we can still find wonder and meaning in the world, in the present, no matter if it has an off switch or not. Our story, right now, is ours to live. The idea that we're not unique. Have you ever wondered if you are truly one of a kind? Or if everything around you, all your feelings, thoughts, and experiences are completely special and never happened before? It's a big thought, isn't it? We often feel like our lives are unique, like there's nobody else quite like us, and our world is the only one. But what if that wasn't true for our universe itself? This idea that we're not unique is a core part of thinking about simulation theory. It's not about saying you, personally, aren't special. You are. It's about saying that our entire reality, our whole universe, might not be the only one, or even the first one. Think about it this way. If a super smart civilization could create a simulated world, why would they stop at just one? Imagine a person building a computer game. They put in all the details, the mountains, the cities, the characters. They make it look real. Now, once they've made that game, they can make copies of it. They can run it on millions of computers around the world. Each player experiences their own version of that game world. Each character in that game, if they could think, might believe their world is the only one. But from the outside, we know there are countless versions running at the same time. This isn't a new thought. For thousands of years, long before computers, people have wondered if reality is truly what it seems. Ancient Greek thinkers, like a philosopher named Plato, talked about something called the allegory of the cave. He imagined people living in a cave, seeing only shadows on a wall, believing those shadows were real. They never saw the true objects making the shadows outside the cave. It made them wonder, what if our understanding of reality is just like those shadows? What if there's a deeper, more real world we can't see? In modern times, with our powerful computers, this idea takes on a new twist. If we, as humans, are getting close to being able to create very realistic virtual worlds, what about civilizations far more advanced than us? Maybe they already have. And if they have, it's more likely they've created many, many simulations, not just one. So, here's the thing. If it's possible to make one highly detailed, conscious simulation, it's probably also possible to make thousands, or even millions of them. And if there are millions of simulated universes, then the chances that ours is the one original or real one start to seem very small. It becomes much more likely that we are one of the many simulated ones. It's a bit like a giant library filled with books. Every book tells a story. Maybe our universe is just one of those books. Each book feels real and complete to the characters inside it. But the library itself holds countless other stories, other worlds. We might think our story is the only one, but the shelves stretch on forever. This idea doesn't have to be scary. Instead, it can make you think about your place in everything in a different way. It suggests that our experience, our consciousness, the very act of existing and feeling, might not be limited to just this one place we call Earth, or this one universe. It opens up the possibility that consciousness, life, and experience are incredibly common throughout the universe, perhaps even more common than we ever imagined. It doesn't make your life less important. In fact, it might make it more precious. Because even if our universe is one of many, your personal journey within it, your feelings, your connections, those are yours. They are real to you. The beauty of this idea is not in whether we are unique or not, but in the vast, amazing possibilities it suggests about existence itself. It encourages a sense of wonder, a quiet curiosity about the incredible scope of reality, whether it's simulated or not. It's about appreciating the gift of experiencing this moment, in this world, whatever its origins may be. Are there other simulations out there? Think for a moment. If our world truly is a giant, super advanced computer program, could there be others? Could the people running our simulation be running a bunch of different ones at the same time? This idea, that our reality isn't the only one, but just one among many, is a really deep thought. It's like asking if the video game you're playing is the only game that company ever made, or if they have a whole library of different worlds. Here's the thing. If someone or something created our world as a simulation, they might not have stopped there. They could have set up countless other simulations. Each one might be a little different. Maybe some have different rules of physics. Maybe others explore what would happen if history went a totally different way. Some could be smaller, simpler, like a test run. Others could be just as complex, or even more so, than our own. It's a bit like a coder making different versions of a program, or a scientist running many experiments to see different outcomes. People have thought about this kind of thing for a very long time, even before computers existed. Ancient philosophers, smart thinkers from way back, sometimes wondered if what we see and feel is the complete picture, or if there's more to reality than meets the eye. They talked about ideas like our world being just a shadow of a true reality, or living in a dream. It's not exactly the same as computer simulations, but it shows that the human mind has always been curious about other layers of existence. It's like we're always looking for what's behind the curtain. Imagine your favorite video game. Let's say it's a huge open-world game where you can explore cities, forests, and even space. Now, think about the people who made that game. They probably didn't just make that one world. They might have made other games with different themes entirely. Or, even within that game, maybe there are separate servers, or different versions of the game running for different players, each creating a slightly different experience. It's not hard to imagine that if a team can build one amazing virtual world, they could build 10, or 100, or 1,000,000. They might even build a mini-game within their main game, which would be like a simulation inside a simulation. So, if our reality is a simulation, maybe it's just one piece in a much bigger puzzle. We might be part of a vast collection of simulated worlds, all running for different reasons. Perhaps some are historical records, playing out moments from long ago. Others might be future predictions, showing what could happen. Some could be purely for fun or exploration, like giant, complex playgrounds. And maybe, just maybe, some are even running simulations inside themselves, creating layers upon layers of simulated reality, stretching on forever like a set of Russian nesting dolls. Thinking about other possible simulations can make you feel a little small, but also incredibly amazed. It doesn't mean our experiences here are less real or less important. It just opens your mind to the idea that the universe, or whatever is beyond it, might be far vaster and more inventive than we can even begin to guess. It encourages us to keep wondering, keep exploring, and keep appreciating the unique and intricate reality we find ourselves in right now, whatever its origins might be. It's a humbling thought, a quiet whisper that there's always more to discover, more to ponder, just beyond our current understanding. Does it change how we treat each other? If we truly believed our world was a simulation, would that change how we look at the person next to us? Would it change how we treat them? This is one of the deepest questions that simulation theory brings up. It's not just about whether our reality is digital or physical. It's about what that idea means for our hearts, our choices, and how we live day to day. Here's the thing. If our world is a giant computer program, does that make our feelings less real? Do our struggles or our friendships suddenly not matter as much? Some might think, well, if it's not truly real, then why bother? Why be kind if nothing really counts? But many thinkers, both old and new, have a different answer. They say that even if the world itself is a simulation, our experience inside it is still very, very real to us. Think about it like this. Imagine you're playing a really intense video game. Maybe it's a game where you build a city or go on an adventure with other characters. Even though you know it's just code on a screen, your choices in that game still feel important. If your city crumbles because of a bad decision, you might feel disappointed. If you help a character and they succeed, you might feel a rush of pride. The feelings you have, the excitement, the frustration, the joy, are all real to you in that moment. They happen inside your mind and heart, even if the world of the game is made of pixels. This isn't a new idea, this wondering if life is a dream or an illusion. Thousands of years ago, a Greek thinker named Plato told a story called The Allegory of the Cave. In his story, people lived their whole lives chained in a cave, seeing only shadows on a wall. They thought those shadows were the real world. If someone told them the shadows weren't real, and there was a bigger, brighter world outside, it would have been hard for them to believe. They would still have lived their lives, interacted with each other, and felt joy and sadness within their shadowed reality. For them, the shadows were their whole world, and that's why it matters. Whether we're in a cave, a dream, or a super advanced computer simulation, the world we experience is the only one we have right now. The pain you feel when someone is unkind to you, that's real. The comfort you get from a friend's smile, that's real too. These are not just lines of code or flickering shadows. They are the true fabric of our daily lives, woven from our thoughts, our actions, and our connections. So, does it change how we treat each other? Maybe not in the way some expect. Instead of making things less important, perhaps it makes them more important. If this experience, whatever its nature, is all we have, then every moment, every interaction becomes precious. Every act of kindness, every bit of understanding, every moment of shared laughter or sorrow takes on a deeper meaning. It's like we are all characters in this shared story, and the way we treat each other writes the chapters. The core of our humanity, our ability to feel, to think, to love, to hurt, remains. These things don't disappear just because we question the background of our reality. In fact, if we accept the possibility of a simulation, it might even encourage us to live more fully, to appreciate the warmth of the sun, the taste of our favorite food, the sound of a loved one's voice, because no matter what the outside might be, these experiences are real, here, within this moment, within this shared journey. And because they are real to us, they deserve our care, our attention, and our very best selves. We still choose who we are, and how we will be, in this moment, with each other. Our choices still echo. And those echoes, whether in a simulation or not, are what make our lives truly matter. Finding meaning in a simulated world. Imagine for a moment, what if everything around you, every single thing you see, hear, and touch, is actually part of a giant, super smart computer program? Like a video game so incredibly real, you can't tell the difference. This idea that our whole world could be a simulation can sound pretty wild. But if it were true, would it mean your life doesn't matter? Would your choices, your feelings, your friendships, would they all suddenly become fake? This question about meaning is super important. Even if our reality is simulated, your feelings are real to you. When you laugh with your friends, when you feel proud of something you've achieved, when you feel a little sad about something difficult, those feelings are truly happening inside you. They are part of your experience. People have wondered about the nature of reality for a very, very long time. Way before computers, thinkers like the ancient Greek philosopher Plato asked big questions about what is truly real. He told a famous story about people living in a cave. These people only ever saw shadows dancing on a wall, and because that's all they ever knew, they believed those shadows were the real things. They didn't know there was a whole world outside the cave, casting those shadows. His point was that what we perceive might not be the whole truth of reality. So, the idea of our world being less solid than it seems isn't new. It's a thought that has echoed through history. Here's a relatable example. Think about your favorite video game. The characters in that game, the ones you control or the ones who act on their own, do they know they are just lines of code on a screen? Probably not. To them, their world is completely real. They have missions, they face challenges, they interact with each other. Their triumphs and struggles feel real within their game world. Now, imagine our world is like that game, but millions of times more detailed and complex. So, if our world was a simulation, how would that change things for us? Here's the thing. Meaning often comes from within us, not just from what the world is made of. It's about what you choose to do with your time, how you treat others, what you learn, and how you grow as a person. These things are real because You experience them. Your love for your family, your joy when you discover something new, the feeling of helping a friend when they need it, those feelings are yours, and they are absolutely true for you. Think about it like this. If you listen to a beautiful song, does it matter if the music is being played by a live band right in front of you, or if it's coming from a recording on a speaker? The feeling the music gives you, that happy or peaceful or excited feeling, is still real. The source of the sound doesn't change your personal experience of it. In the same way, the source of our reality might be a deep mystery, but our journey through it is profoundly personal. The kindness you show, the challenges you overcome, the knowledge you gain, the connections you make with other people, these are the building blocks of a meaningful life. They give your life purpose, no matter what the true nature of the universe is. The beauty of a sunset, the warmth of a hug, the excitement of an adventure, these moments are real to us, truly real, no matter what. Our lives have meaning because we give them meaning through our actions and our connections. So, maybe the greatest adventure of all is simply living fully, right here, right now, in the reality we find ourselves in. What if we could talk to the programmer? Imagine your favorite video game. You know, the one where you explore a huge world, meet characters, and go on adventures. Now, what if, somehow, you could actually talk to the person who made that game? The one who wrote all the code, designed the maps, and decided how everything works. What would you ask them? Would you ask about hidden secrets, why certain things are difficult, or if there's a part of the game nobody has found yet? This might sound like a fun thought experiment for a game, but what if our entire world was like a giant, super advanced simulation? A digital reality running on some incredible computer somewhere else? If that were true, then there would be someone or something that created it. We could call them the programmer. The idea of talking to this programmer is big. It's a question people have thought about for thousands of years, long before computers even existed. They didn't call it simulation theory back then, but they wondered if the world we see around us is truly real, or if it's more like a dream, or a shadow of something else. Philosophers from ancient Greece, like a man named Plato, told stories about people living in a cave, only seeing shadows on a wall, and thinking those shadows were the real world. They didn't know there was a fire and objects casting those shadows behind them. The question is similar. Are we only seeing shadows, or is this the real thing? So, if we could talk to the programmer, what would we even say? Maybe we'd ask, why are things the way they are? Why is there gravity? Why do we feel emotions like joy and sadness? Or maybe we'd ask more practical questions like, is there a reset button? Or, can you fix the glitches, please? Think about a time you were playing a game and it froze, or a character got stuck. Wouldn't you want to tell the programmer about it? If our world has problems, like sickness or unfairness, would we ask the programmer to fix them? It's a deep thought, isn't it? If someone designed all of this, what was their purpose? Did they create us to learn, to grow, to experience? Are we part of an experiment? Or are we just characters in a story, and the programmer is like the author, watching to see how the plot unfolds? But here's the thing. Even if our world is a simulation, it doesn't make our experiences any less real to us. The feelings you have, the friendships you make, the beauty you see in a sunset, the challenge of learning something new, these are all happening right now, within this reality, whatever its source. If you're playing a video game, the emotions you feel when you win or lose are real, even though the game world isn't physically real. So, maybe the important part isn't finding the programmer to ask them questions. Maybe the important part is what we do with the reality we have right now. It's about how we live our lives, how we treat each other, and how we explore the amazing, complex world we find ourselves in. The act of even wondering about a programmer pushes us to look closer at everything, to question, and to appreciate the mystery of being alive. It makes us think about our own purpose, whether someone designed it or not. Does science still matter if it's a sim? Imagine for a moment that our entire universe, everything we see and touch, is actually a giant computer program, like a super detailed video game, but for real life. If that were true, would all the amazing things we learn in science, Like how gravity works, or why stars shine, or how our bodies heal. Would any of that still matter? Would it all be fake? This is a really deep question, and it's one people have thought about for a long time, long before computers even existed. They've always wondered, is what we see truly real, or is there something else behind it? Here's the thing. Even if our world is a simulation, it still has rules. Think about your favorite video game. It has physics, right? If you jump, you come down. If you throw something, it follows a path. Those rules are true within that game. You can't just wish yourself to the moon inside the game, because the game's code won't let you. Science, then, is our way of figuring out those rules for our world. It's like we're explorers inside this grand program, trying to understand how it all works. We observe, we experiment, we test our ideas. We learn that water boils at a certain temperature, that light travels incredibly fast, that plants need sunlight to grow. These are the rules of our reality, the patterns we can see and measure. And knowing these rules matters a lot, no matter what. Think about it. If you want to build a house, you need to understand gravity and how strong different materials are. If you want to cure a disease, you need to understand how bodies work and how medicines affect them. If you want to send a rocket to Mars, you need to understand orbits and propulsion. All this knowledge comes from science. It helps us live better, build amazing things, and solve real problems, right here in the world we experience every day. Consider a simple example. Let's say you're playing a massive online game where you can build your own city. You learn that to make the city grow, you need to provide power, build roads, and manage resources. You might discover certain buildings work better near each other, or that too much traffic causes problems. All this knowledge helps you succeed in that game. Does it matter if the game exists on a server somewhere far away? Not really. Not when you're trying to build the best city. For you, the player, those rules are real and important because they shape your experience and your success within that world. Our scientists are doing the exact same thing, but with our entire universe. They are figuring out the patterns and rules of our reality. This helps us understand why we get sick, how to make new discoveries, and how to protect our planet. It allows us to invent, to heal, to reach for the stars, even if someone or something wrote the code for our existence. Understanding that code is still the path to making sense of our lives and shaping our future. So, yes, science absolutely still matters. It's our human way of being curious, of seeking answers, of trying to understand the incredible complexity around us. It helps us navigate our world, whether it's a grand design or a clever simulation. The search itself, the quest to understand, is what truly defines us. It helps us find beauty in the universe, solve its puzzles, and build a better future within the reality we call home. And that, in itself, is a very real and powerful thing. Thinking about our future technology, have you ever stopped to wonder just how powerful our technology might become one day? We see smartphones in everyone's hands, and incredible video games that look almost real. But what if we fast forward a few hundred, or even a few thousand, years into the future? Imagine our technology growing so advanced, so mind-blowingly powerful, that we could create entire worlds inside computers. This isn't just a wild guess or a science fiction story. It's a serious idea, and it connects directly to the thought of whether our own world might be a simulation. Here's the thing. If we, as humans, keep getting better at building super smart computers and creating realistic virtual worlds, it seems like there might come a point where we could build a simulation that is so good, the people living inside it wouldn't even know they weren't in the real world. Think about how far video games have come. Not long ago, games were just simple dots moving on a screen, like the old game Pong. Then came games with blocky characters, then detailed worlds. Now, you can put on a VR headset and feel like you're truly walking around in a different place. Games like Minecraft let you build anything you can imagine, and games like Fortnite have millions of players running around together in a huge, detailed world. Each year, the graphics get better, the characters seem more real, and the worlds feel more alive. So, here's what happens if this trend continues. our computers would get incredibly, unbelievably fast. Fast enough to track every single atom, every single thought, every single feeling for billions of people. Our ability to design complex systems would also get much, much better. We could build programs that could simulate entire universes down to the smallest detail. This isn't just about making a game look real. This is about making a game feel real, making the people inside it think they are real, with their own memories, dreams, and choices. People have always dreamed of creating life, or creating new worlds. In old stories, there were tales of magicians bringing statues to life, or scientists building robots that could think. Today, we have artificial intelligence and virtual reality. The idea of building a simulation isn't new, but the possibility of doing it so perfectly that it's indistinguishable from reality, that's what makes us pause. But why would anyone do this? Why would a very advanced civilization, perhaps one that lived long, long ago or far, far away, create a world like ours inside a computer? There are many reasons someone might build such a detailed simulation. Maybe they want to study history, to see how different choices might have played out. Maybe they want to test out new scientific ideas without risking their own world. Maybe it's just for fun, like a super advanced video game for them. Or perhaps they want to preserve their past, to keep alive a version of how things once were. And that's why it matters to us. If we could do it, then it suggests that maybe, just maybe, someone else already has. This thought might feel a little strange, or even a bit like a puzzle. If our technology could reach such heights, what would be our responsibility to the beings inside that world? How would we treat them? Would we interfere, or would we just watch? This idea gently leads us to a deeper thought. If we are thinking about creating such worlds, it makes us wonder about our own world. Are we the creators, or are we the created? It's a quiet whisper, asking us to look at the universe around us with fresh, curious eyes, considering all the amazing possibilities that technology, both ours and perhaps others, could bring. And it reminds us that even now, our imaginations are powerful tools, capable of building whole worlds in our minds, just like advanced computers might one day build them for real. Could we create our own simulations? Have you ever wondered what it would be like to build your own entire world? Not just with toys or drawings, but a world where things really moved and reacted, just like they do in real life? Think about it. You could set all the rules, decide how gravity works, or even create living beings that think and feel within your made-up space. This isn't just a fantasy. It's a real question people are asking, especially as our technology gets more and more powerful. Here's the thing. Creating a simulation means making a model of something using computers. It's like building a mini-universe inside a machine. We already do this a lot, even in ways you might not think about. When you play a video game like Minecraft, you're interacting with a simple simulation. The game has rules for how blocks stack, how water flows, and how creatures move. It's not real in the sense of existing outside the computer, but within the game, it feels real to your character. Or think about The Sims, where you control little digital people, building their houses and guiding their lives. That's also a form of simulation. But can we make simulations so advanced they're almost impossible to tell from reality? This is where the idea gets deep. For a long time, humans have been curious about how things work. From ancient philosophers wondering about the nature of reality, to scientists today studying the smallest particles, we're always trying to understand our world. And one way we try to understand is by making models. For example, scientists use computer simulations to predict the weather. They put in information about temperature, wind, and pressure, and the computer runs a model to see what might happen tomorrow. Or city planners might simulate how traffic flows in a new part of town before building it. This helps them find problems before they even start construction. As computers get faster and smarter, the simulations we can create become more complex and detailed. Imagine a computer so powerful that it could simulate every single atom, every single thought, every single interaction in a massive, detailed world. If we could build a world inside a computer, complete with creatures that think they are real and live out full lives, What would that tell us about our own reality? We're not there yet, not even close to building a full-blown reality simulation like the one we live in. Our computers aren't fast enough, and we don't even fully understand all the rules of our own universe to program them in. But the idea of being able to create such worlds makes us wonder. It makes us think about what it means to be real and what it means to create. If we ever reach a point where we can create these incredibly detailed simulated worlds, it might just be the most amazing thing we ever do. It could show us just how vast and complex existence can be, making us appreciate the incredible, unique reality we find ourselves in. A reality we get to explore every single day. What's the point of asking these questions? Have you ever stopped to wonder why we even bother asking big, weird questions? Like, what's the big deal about whether our world is real or a simulation? It can feel a bit like asking if unicorns are real when you've got homework due, right? But here's the thing. Asking these kinds of questions, even the ones without easy answers, is actually super important. Think about it. Why do humans look up at the stars and try to figure out how they work? Why do we explore the deepest parts of the ocean? It's not just to get a good grade in science class. It's because we're curious. We want to understand. And this isn't just about getting answers. It's about how the act of asking changes us. When you ask, what if our world isn't totally real? You're not just being a philosopher. You're stretching your mind. You're trying to see things from a different angle. This kind of thinking helps you in all parts of your life. It's like building a stronger muscle for your brain. The questions themselves are the exercise. They make your mind more flexible. People have been asking big questions about reality for thousands of years. Long before computers or video games, ancient thinkers wondered about the nature of dreams. They asked if the world around them was just a shadow of something else. They didn't have simulation theory, but they had the same deep urge to question what seemed obvious. They knew that sometimes what you think is true might not be the whole story. And by questioning, they pushed human understanding forward, little by little. They opened new doors for everyone who came after them. Imagine you're trying to solve a tricky puzzle, like a Rubik's Cube. At first, you might just twist it randomly, but then you start to wonder, what if I try turning this side first? What if this color goes with that one? You're asking questions, even if they're silent inside your head. And by asking, you start to see patterns. You start to understand the rules of the cube. You might not solve it perfectly the first time, but your brain has learned new ways of thinking. It's gained a new skill. Asking about simulation theory is a lot like that. It makes you think about how we know what we know. It makes you think about what proof really means. It makes you think about how our senses work and how our brains put together the picture of the world we experience. When you explore these ideas, you start to notice things you never saw before in your everyday life. Maybe you'll pay more attention to how a video game's world is built, or how a movie makes you feel like you're really there. You begin to look at the world with a different kind of curiosity, and that curiosity can change everything. So, the point isn't always to get a yes or no answer. Sometimes, the point is the journey of asking. It's about being open to possibilities. It's about realizing that the universe, and our place in it, might be much stranger and more wonderful than we ever imagined. It helps us stay curious, humble, and always ready to learn something new. It teaches us that uncertainty isn't always a bad thing. Sometimes, it's just the beginning of a new adventure for our minds, and that's why it matters. It helps us grow, not just our knowledge, but also our ability to think deeply about everything around us. It makes us more open, more thoughtful people, ready to face any kind of puzzle life throws our way. Living life with a new perspective. Have you ever stopped to really think about the world around you? Not just what you see, but how you see it. What if everything you thought was real was actually, in a way, like an advanced video game you're in? It's a thought that can make you wonder. This idea that our world might be a simulation can sound wild. But here's the thing. It's not about proving if it's true or false. It's more about what happens inside our heads when we even consider the idea. This kind of thinking can change the way we look at our own lives, our everyday moments, and even our biggest challenges. People have wondered about reality for ages. thousands of years ago, thinkers used stories. Imagine people living in a cave, only ever seeing shadows on a wall. They believe those shadows are the whole world. They don't know there's a deeper reality outside. Today, with powerful computers and virtual reality games, we have new ways to think about these ancient questions. So here's what happened. We now have computers that can build detailed virtual worlds. Think about a video game like Minecraft. You create a character, and that character lives a life in a virtual world. Your character doesn't know they're in a game, right? They just experience their world, make friends, face challenges. For them, that world is totally real. Now, imagine if we were like those characters. Our world, with all its sights, sounds, and feelings, could be a highly advanced version of that. It's not about being fake or not mattering. It's simply about seeing it differently. This can make you more curious about everything. So, if our world might be like that, what does it mean for you? It means you start seeing things differently. Maybe that big test or that argument with a friend doesn't seem quite so huge when you think about the vastness of the universe or a possible simulation. It doesn't make these things unimportant, but it helps you put them in perspective. It's like zooming out on a map. You still see your house, but you also see the whole city. Your problems are still there, but they're part of a much bigger picture. And that's why it matters. It can make you feel more curious. You might start asking bigger questions. Why am I here? What should I do with my time? What truly matters to me? And here's the cool part. Whether it's a simulation or not, your choices, your actions, and your feelings are still real to you. The joy you feel with friends, solving a tough problem, the kindness you show, these are deeply real for you. Thinking this way can make you appreciate these moments even more. It can make you want to live your life fully, explore new things, and connect deeply with others. Every moment and feeling becomes more vivid. It's like being given a special way of seeing the world, with more wonder, less worry. It's not about being scared or thinking nothing matters. Instead, it's about feeling a quiet sense of endless possibility. It's about realizing that even if our world is complex, our ability to experience, learn, and grow is truly amazing. So, no matter what our reality is, choose to live it with open eyes, a curious mind, and a heart ready for all the real, amazing things it holds. Your journey is yours to make. Why this idea is not just for sci-fi. What if everything you see, hear, and feel isn't exactly what it seems? What if your world, your school, your friends, and even the air you breathe are all part of something bigger, something made? It's a deep thought, for sure. You might hear about an idea like this and think of movies like The Matrix or a cool video game. But here's the thing. This idea, often called simulation theory, isn't just for sci-fi stories or wild imagination. It's a serious question that smart people, like scientists and thinkers, have been asking in different ways for thousands of years. So, what is simulation theory? Put simply, it asks if our entire universe, everything from the tiny atoms that make up your fingernails to the giant stars light years away, could actually be a super advanced computer program. Think of it like a video game that is so incredibly real, so detailed, that we, the players inside it, don't even know it's a game. We believe our world is completely, truly real. For a long, long time, thinkers have wondered about what is real and what isn't. Imagine people who lived their whole lives in a deep cave, only ever seeing shadows dancing on a wall. They'd think those shadows were real things, talking about them, studying them. But what if there was a whole world outside the cave? A world full of sunshine and real trees, a world they couldn't even imagine. Their shadows were just reflections of something much bigger. This old story from long ago asks a similar question. Are we only seeing reflections or shadows of a deeper reality? Think about games you play, like Minecraft or The Sims. In those games, the characters live their lives. They follow rules, build houses, even have feelings, sort of. For them, that world is their reality. But we, the players, know it's just code, pixels, a program running on a computer. What if our world is just like that, but way, way, way more complex? So complex that the players or programmers are totally out of our sight, totally beyond our understanding? Or consider a dream. Sometimes, you have a dream that feels incredibly real. You might be flying, or talking to someone who isn't usually there. You feel emotions, see colors, hear sounds. Then you wake up, and suddenly, you know it was just a dream. But while you were in it, it felt absolutely real. Even closer, think about putting on a virtual reality, VR headset. You step into a different world. You can reach out and touch things, look around corners. Your brain is tricked into believing you're somewhere else. The simulation theory wonders if our entire everyday life is just an incredibly advanced version of that VR headset, one we can't ever take off. This idea isn't just for fun sci-fi because it makes us think about some really big questions. It's about pure curiosity. It makes you look at the world around you and truly ask, why is it this way? It helps us wonder about the very nature of existence. Is there a deeper layer to reality we haven't even begun to imagine? Scientists and philosophers talk about this not to be scary, but because they are always looking for answers to the universe's biggest puzzles. For example, why do the laws of physics work exactly the way they do? Why does the universe seem so perfectly set up for life? Some wonder if being in a simulation could explain why everything feels so orderly and perfect, because it was designed that way, like a programmer setting the rules for their game. So, while it's a deep thought, it's not meant to make you question every single step you take. Instead, it's an invitation to look at the sky, at a tree, at your own hand, and feel a sense of wonder. To know that the universe, whether it's a simulation or not, is amazingly complex and full of mysteries. It reminds us that there's so much we don't know, and that's perfectly fine. It makes the world a little more magical, a little more interesting. It encourages you to stay curious, to keep asking those big what-if questions, because that's how we learn and grow. It's about appreciating the mystery of simply being here, right now, in whatever reality we find ourselves in. The comfort of knowing it's real. Maybe. Have you ever woken up from a really vivid dream, and for a split second, you weren't sure if it was real? You felt the sunshine, heard the birds, even felt sad or happy in the dream. Then you opened your eyes and realized it was just your mind playing tricks. But for that moment, it felt totally real, right? Here's the thing. Sometimes, when we talk about big ideas like simulation theory, it can feel a bit scary or confusing. It makes us wonder, what if our whole world is like that dream? What if it's not truly, completely real? But there's also a deep comfort in thinking about these things. This comfort comes from understanding that even if our world were a simulation, our experiences within it would still be real to us. Think about it. Your feelings, your friendships, the joy you get from a good song, the warmth of the sun on your face. These are all things you feel, and those feelings are real for you, in your life right now. It's about finding meaning and peace in the reality we know, no matter what its true ultimate nature might be. People have wondered about what's real for a very long time. Thousands of years ago, a famous Greek thinker named Plato told a story called The Allegory of the Cave. Imagine people chained in a deep cave their whole lives. They can only look forward at a wall. Behind them, there's a fire, and people walk by carrying objects, casting shadows on the wall. These prisoners only ever see the shadows. They think the shadows are the only real things. But a philosopher, like Plato, would suggest that the shadows are just copies of something more real outside the cave. So, even way back then, people were thinking about whether what we see and feel is the ultimate reality, or just a reflection of something else. This kind of thinking helps us understand that asking, what is real, is an old question. And that's why it matters today. Think about playing a really intense video game. Maybe it's a detailed adventure game, or one where you build entire worlds. When you're playing, you're totally focused. Your heart might beat fast when you face a challenge. You feel happy when you win, or frustrated when you lose. You might even feel like you know the characters. All those feelings are real in that moment, for you, the player. But you know that when you turn off the console, the game world isn't real, in the same way your house or your school is. Still, the fun you had, the skills you learned, the memories you made while playing, those experiences are real. They happen to you. So, here's what happened when we think about our own lives in this way. Even if our universe were somehow a very advanced program, like that video game, it doesn't make your laughter any less real. It doesn't make the pain you feel when you stub your toe less sharp. It doesn't make the love you have for your family or friends any less warm or important. The sun still feels hot. The rain still feels wet. These experiences are vivid, personal, and deeply felt. The comfort lies in realizing that our reality, the one we live every day, is the only one we directly know. It's rich with experiences, learning, and connections. It offers us chances to grow, to explore, and to love. Whether it's a simulation or not, the moments we share, the choices we make, and the meaning we create in our lives, these are profoundly real for us. They matter. And that understanding, that acceptance, can bring a surprising sense of calm and peace, no matter how deep the mystery of our universe goes. The mystery of what's beyond. Have you ever stopped, looked at the world around you, and just wondered, is this really all there is? What if the place we call home, the sky above us, and even the thoughts inside our heads, are just part of something much bigger, something we can't fully see? This idea takes us to a fascinating question in simulation theory. If our world is a simulation, then what exactly is beyond it? Think about it like this. When you play a video game, you're in a world created by programmers. You might be exploring a vast forest, battling dragons, or building a city. Inside that game, everything feels real to your character. But you, the player, are sitting somewhere else entirely. You're in your living room, holding a controller, maybe munching on snacks. Your living room is the beyond for the game character. It's the true, original reality, where the game is being played. So, in simulation theory, the mystery of what's beyond means figuring out what that original reality looks like. It's the world where the computers are running our simulation, or where the programmers live. We can't see it or touch it directly, because we're inside the program. It's like a character in a game trying to open your living room door. They just can't, because your living room isn't part of their game world. This isn't a completely new idea, actually. Long, long ago, a famous thinker named Plato had a similar thought experiment called the allegory of the cave. Imagine people chained inside a cave, facing a blank wall. Behind them, there's a fire, and people walk by, carrying objects. The chained people only see the shadows of these objects dancing on the wall. They think these shadows are real. They talk about them, study them. But if one person breaks free and goes outside, they would see the real sun, the real objects, and the true world. The cave wall was just a screen, and the world outside was beyond their limited view. It was the actual reality. This ancient story connects to our modern question. If we are in a simulation, then our cave wall is our everyday world. And beyond, it is the true reality, which might be completely different from anything we can imagine. Maybe their sky isn't blue. Maybe their world doesn't even have gravity like ours. The rules of physics, the way time works, even what living beings look like, could be totally different. And here's the thing. We might never know for sure what's out there, if anything. It's a huge mystery. We are like those characters in the video game, unable to step out of the screen. But just because we might be in a simulation doesn't mean our lives don't matter. The characters in a game can still have adventures, make choices, and feel emotions. The choices we make, the love we share, the learning we do, these are real experiences, within our reality, simulated or not. So, the mystery of what's beyond isn't about being scared or worried. It's about wonder. It's about looking at the vastness of everything and asking big questions. It teaches us that there might be more to existence than what meets the eye, and that thinking about these possibilities can make our own world, right here, feel even more extraordinary. It's a gentle reminder to stay curious, to keep exploring, and to find meaning in the reality we experience every single day. Our quest to understand everything. Have you ever looked up at the night sky, completely dark but sparkling with countless stars, and felt incredibly small? Or maybe you've watched a really good movie, or played an immersive video game, And for a few moments, you completely forgot it wasn't real? Our world often feels so solid, so certain. The ground under your feet, the desk in front of you, the voice you hear right now, it all seems perfectly real. But what if it isn't? What if there's more to reality than what our everyday senses tell us? This isn't a new idea. For thousands of years, people have been wondering about the big questions. People from ancient times, long before science as we know it, would sit and think, what is real? Why are we here? Is this world all there is? Or is there something else behind it? They looked at dreams that felt so real, at reflections in water, at shadows dancing on cave walls, and they started to ask if what they saw was the true picture or just a reflection of something deeper. Think about a dream you've had that felt so vivid, so intense, that when you woke up, it took you a moment to remember it wasn't real. Maybe you were flying, or in a strange, new place, talking to people you've never met. Your mind created an entire world with its own rules and feelings, and for a time, you were fully in it. Then, suddenly, you're back in your bed, and the dream world vanishes. This shows us how our own minds can create what feels like reality, even if it's not the one we usually live in. Now, let's think about video games, especially the huge ones where you can explore entire virtual cities or planets. When you play a game like that, you control a character. You walk through incredibly detailed landscapes, talk to other characters, solve quests, and interact with the game's world. The trees look real. The buildings stand tall. The non-player characters act like they have their own lives. You might spend hours totally engrossed, forgetting you're just sitting on a couch, holding a controller. That game world has its own set of physics, its own stories, its own rules. But it's not the actual world outside your window. It's a world built with code, designed by programmers, and stored on a computer. Our quest to understand everything is about exploring these kinds of thoughts. It's about gently pushing against what we think we know and asking, what if there's more to it? It's about wondering if our everyday world, the one we experience with our five senses, is like those shadows on a cave wall, or like a really advanced video game. Is it the only reality there is, or just one layer of something much bigger and more complex? This deep questioning, this constant curiosity, is a big part of what makes us human. We don't just accept things as they are. We want to know the why and the how. This journey of asking what if and could it be isn't about being scared or confused. It's about opening our minds. It's about seeing the world with fresh eyes, like a detective looking for clues. It reminds us that even when things seem perfectly normal, there might be hidden layers, untold stories, or unexpected answers waiting to be discovered. It's about the wonder of existence itself. And it's okay to sit with these big questions, even if we don't have all the answers right away. Sometimes, the most important thing is simply to keep asking. Because in that asking, in that sense of wonder, we connect to something truly profound. The endless mystery of being alive, and our own small yet important part in trying to understand it all. The big questions we still have We've talked about what a simulation could be. We've thought about how our world might be like a super advanced computer game. But here's the thing. Even if we imagine this is true, even if we say, okay, maybe we are in a simulation, that just opens up a whole new set of giant questions. Questions that are even harder to answer. What does it really mean for us? Imagine you're playing a video game. You're moving around talking to other characters, solving puzzles. You feel like you're really in that world. But then you remember, someone made this game. Someone designed the rules. They created the characters and the missions. They can turn it off. So, if our world is like that game, then who made our game? Who are the designers of our reality? We call them the simulators. Are they super smart beings from another galaxy? Are they humans from the far future, running a kind of history project? Or are they something we can't even begin to imagine? That's one of the biggest questions we have. We don't have a clue who they might be, or what they look like, or where they are. And then there's the why. Why would anyone create such a complex simulation? Maybe they're running an experiment to see how civilizations develop, like a scientist studying ants in an ant farm. Or maybe they just got bored and decided to make a really big, detailed story. What if they made it to solve a problem they had in their own real world? Or what if they are in a simulation too, and this is just a simulation within a simulation? It can get pretty dizzying when you think about it like that. The reason for our existence, if it's a simulation, is totally unknown. We are like characters in a book wondering why the author wrote them. Another huge question is this: can we even tell if we're in a simulation? Are there clues? Some people wonder if glitches in our reality, like strange coincidences or weird events, could be tiny errors in the simulation's code. Or maybe there are limits to our universe that are actually just the edges of the simulation, like the invisible walls in a video game. Scientists look for these clues, but it's really hard. Everything we experience follows the rules of our world. We don't have anything outside of it to compare it to. It's like a fish trying to understand water. It's always been there, always surrounded it. And here's a really deep thought. Does it even matter? If we found out for sure tomorrow that our world was a simulation, would your lunch still taste good? Would your friends still make you laugh? Would your family still feel like home? Many people argue that our experiences, our feelings, our love, our sadness, all of it is real to us. Whether the background is made of atoms or computer code, our lives are happening. We are making choices, building relationships, learning, growing. The joys and struggles we face are intensely real in our minds and hearts. They truly matter to us. Thinking about all these big questions can feel a bit strange, even overwhelming. It makes you wonder about everything. But it also shows us how amazing our minds are, that we can even ask such questions. Humans have always looked up at the stars, or looked deep inside themselves, and asked, why? And what is this? This idea of a simulation is just the newest way we're asking those ancient questions. It reminds us that there's so much we don't know, and that's okay. What matters most is how we live our lives right now. With kindness, with curiosity, and with an open heart. We can find meaning in our everyday moments, no matter what the ultimate nature of our reality turns out to be. The journey of asking is often more important than finding a single answer. What you can learn from thinking about this. Have you ever stopped to think about how real your life feels right now? Does it feel completely real? What if the very world around you, everything you see and touch and feel, was part of a grand design, like a super advanced computer program? It's a huge idea, for sure. But thinking about it, just wondering, what if, can actually teach us a lot about ourselves and the world we live in. For thousands of years, people have looked at the sky and the ground and wondered, is this all there is? Or is there something more? Something hidden? Is what I see truly everything? Or is it just a tiny piece of a much bigger picture? This isn't a new puzzle. Ancient thinkers wondered if our lives were like shadows on a cave wall, not the real objects casting them. They asked if we were dreaming, or if the gods were playing games with us. The idea of a simulation, in a way, is just a modern version of these old, deep questions. It's asking, how do we know what's real? And what does real even mean? One big thing we can learn is to question things, not in a suspicious, everyone is lying way, but in a curious, how does this work way? Think about playing a video game. When you're really into a game, you forget it's just pixels on a screen. You feel happy when you win, frustrated when you lose, and even sad if a character you like has a tough time. Those feelings are real for you, right? Even if the game world isn't real in the way our world is. You learn skills in the game, like problem solving or teamwork. You learn how to deal with challenges. Here's the thing. Even if our world is a simulation, our feelings are real to us. Your joy when you hang out with friends, your frustration over a difficult math problem, your love for your family, those emotions are very real experiences. The lessons you learn, the friendships you make, the kindness you show to others, these things matter right here, right now, in the world you experience. The rules of being a good person, of working hard, of exploring and creating, still apply. They are important because they shape your experience and the experiences of others around you. So, if we live in a simulation, does it make our lives less important? Not at all. In fact, it might make us value the moment even more. If this is our reality, then it's the only one we know. It's the one place where we can feel, learn, and grow. It encourages us to make the most of every day, every connection, every chance we get. It reminds us to be truly present, to appreciate the beauty around us, and to treat others with kindness, because our actions, big or small, create the story of our lives. No matter what the ultimate truth about reality might be, the human experience, with all its wonder and mystery, remains a precious journey. It's about how we choose to live within the reality we're given.